Ruby quest. Okay, yeah, that one does not have a category, so that one will go into just chatting. All right. All right, we'll check out Ruby Quest. That's what I'm doing. See if I enjoy it. Okay. Suppose let's do this quick. This might be a little too spot on, but we'll give it a shot. Okay. Ruby, the Flash is based off an image board based adventure puzzle now concluded. Actions used were suggested by readers to solve puzzles and advance the plot. It's time to begin. It is very dark here. Hardly anything can be seen. Turn on the damn lights. Unfortunately, it's too dark in here. It's hard to tell where the lights are. Search pockets. Feels like something metallic with a rubber grip, but there's no lighter, matches, or flashlight. This one's a little too spot on. There we go. Walk over to the red thing. As near as you can tell, the little red light is only a foot or so away from your face. Reach out and grasp for the red light. Oh, there we go. Ruby can see now. Examine that thing we found in her pockets. Apparently, it's a hand-turned can opener. Grab the handle near the ceiling of the cell. A row of small mesh holes open in the wall, venting in fresh air. Yell, "Is anyone there?" Ruby yells, but there's no response. Her voice echoes in the small room. Attempt to tap into her latent vampiric powers to see if she has a high enough level in protein to turn into mist and escape the cell through the mesh wiring. Sadly, Ruby has no vampiric powers. Okay, good to know. Press every button she can find. Ruby gets the feeling that pressing all the buttons would probably be a bad idea. There are buttons of multiple colors. Which one should she try? For the hell of it, purple. Sweet success. Ruby presses the purple button and... Okay, I'm not going to click it. Presses the purple button and the top of the cell suddenly opens up to cool, clean air. Get out, look around. Ruby surveys her surroundings. There are no doors here, except for a portal on the north wall of this room. Unfortunately, there are metal shutters over the door. Search the trash can in the back. Ruby tries her best, but the lid of the barrel refuses to be pulled from its base. It won't open. Check the shelves. Do you mean the metal shutters? They're blocking the portal to the north. Look for a way to open that other cell. The cell locker coffin on the ground has a latch on the outside, but it's sealed with what appears to be a digital lock. There's no obvious way to undo the lock from the locker itself. Use can opener on can thing in the back. The barrel's lid comes up with the can opener's tenacious efforts. Inside there's a few small lengths of bare electrical wire, but nothing else. Chew wires. Ruby stows a piece of the wire in her inventory. Get a loadout of all of Ruby's abilities, general knowledges, and physical capabilities. Ruby has no magical or otherwise extraordinary powers. She has no knowledge of where she is or how she got here. And though she's not a specialist and holds no particularly special knowledge, she's reasonably competent with things most people would do. Her physical capabilities are varied. She's limber and in good shape, but not particularly strong. She's currently carrying can opener, barrel length of wire. Chew on wire. Ruby is above such primitive practices as chewing on wire and cannibalizing her young, if she had any, and besides, that would not be productive right now. Schlick furiously. Ruby has slightly bigger concerns at the moment. Slightly. But besides, there could be hidden cameras around. Check the terminal next the door. It would appear these controls are out of order, but even Ruby can tell this looks like an easy fix. Firstly, one of the wires is missing. Splicing it back together would be easy enough with the bare length of wire Ruby found. Then there are connectors at the back of the control panel itself, so will need to be screwed back into place. Can we open the trap of the back left corner but not go down yet in case there's no ladder? Unfortunately, it's the other way around. There's some kind of access shaft in the corner of the room, complete with a ladder set into the wall, but it's barred off and Ruby can't fit. Why does she not chew the wire? Because the creator didn't want her to do it. Move the remains of the barrel to one side, see if anything lies underneath it. Ruby tries to shove the big barrel aside, but her physique is just too admirably girlish. It won't budge. I mean, I chew on a lot of stuff daily. I'm with you. I'm with you on that end. Create a saw using the barrel pieces. Wrapping the handle with the bare electrical wire, attempt to saw through the bars. Not only would a saw made of razor-sharp barrel metal and bare wire be incredibly dangerous to use in any way, it certainly wouldn't have the durability or control to cut through these bars, which appear to be a stronger metal than the barrel anyway. You do get +1 ingenuity for your idea, though. Attempt to fashion a crude screwdriver using the barrel shards and either the handle of the can opener, if it slides off easily, or by shredding off part of the currently worn clothing. Ruby sees where you're going with this. Is Ruby wearing panties today? Yes. A quick check verifies she's got her underwear accounted for. Intended to remove an extraneous piece of clothing for the sake of hand protection. Ruby doesn't have enough clothing on for anything to really be considered extraneous. Check the terminal situated on the wall behind the barrel. The digital console appears to be waiting for a command. Open locker. Enter command open locker. That seems to do something. A soft click comes from the other locker. While we're at it, enter command sound horn. The console doesn't appear to recognize that command. Enter open door. That got a response, but unfortunately the results were what Ruby had hoped for. Open the locker. Ruby takes the 2 small coins off the top of the locker and pockets them. She opens it to find there's no one inside the locker. Instead, all that's inside is a pair of rubber gloves. There's a lot of evidence pointing to that schlicking session. Heavy rubber gloves don't make for a very enjoyable schlicking? The hell is schlicking? Ugh. Enter open access shaft. It's asking for a code. Don the gloves, fix the terminal with a wire, and screw it together using one of the coins. A brilliant idea, especially since it negates the possibility of electrocution. Ruby sets to work splicing the door's panel wires back together. Inspect the coins. The 2 coins seem to be just ordinary-looking quarters, but the edges make functional screwdrivers for the flathead screws in the panel. Ruby screws the repaired panel back in place, and the up arrow button lights up green. Press the green button. Here goes nothing. Ruby presses the button. The metal shutter starts to lift. Oh, it would appear that Ruby is underwater. Push down arrow. The down arrow still isn't lit and doesn't respond to being pressed. Take off gloves, reach out, touch the water. Thankfully, there's a big glass window separating Ruby from a horrible drowning death. Enter open access shaft 017. Using the number on the plaque outside as a reference, Ruby attempts to try opening the bar to the access shaft via the computer terminal once more. Look outside, see how far it is to the surface. Also, see if any predatory fish are visible. The water is murky. Ruby can see neither the surface nor any details on the sea life swimming past the glass. Climb down. Hope something reaches and shafts her from below. Ruby descends down the access shaft's ladder. Congratulations, you've escaped the first room. Ruby descends the access hatch and comes upon a new room. There's lots to see here. Say hello. Ruby introduces herself and says hi. The prisoner introduces himself as Tom and says hi back. He doesn't seem particularly chatty. Ask Tom how long he's been here and what he knows about this place. Tom won't say how long he's been here, just that he woke up in the cell and hasn't gotten out since. He seems uninterested with this particular line of questioning and returns to contemplating his little sculpture. Walk into the grid. It's just a metal grating. Carve pumpkin into this. It's a metal grating. Carve pumpkin into the shape of a keycard and insert it into slot. Unfortunately, you're not sleuthy enough to figure out how to do this. What be in that fish tank? The fish tank seems to contain, along with the fish, a tiny treasure chest for decoration. Ask about statue. Tom explains that this is his opus, titled The Room is Boring. It appears to consist of a tin can, a letter opener, and a metal plate with screws on its 4 corners. Any of the fish look dangerous? The fish are all quite tiny. As far as Ruby could tell, none of them are sharks. And what is that grate below the tank? It appears to be another sort of access hatch, the time with metal shutters over it. It's labeled Z hatch, and just underneath where that's written there is an empty space with 4 holes. It looks like something used to go there. Ask about those round things in the wall next to him. Tom explains that the 5 things on the wall are very functional buttons, but so far he's only tried pressing the middle one. Examine the upside-down flower light water sprinkler thing above Tom. It's some sort of switch that could be pulled, but it looks like it's out of reach. Use can opener to cut through fence. The grate is thin, but given that it's a cell, the metal is clearly very strong, and unlike the barrel, it's not worn. And the can opener would have no chance against it. Grab treasure, then dump aquarium on Tom. The fish tank is bolted to the pedestal it's on, which in turn is bolted to the floor. But the little treasure chest is coming with Ruby. It gets added to her inventory, a little wet. It's about the size of her hand. Open treasure chest. It refuses to open. It must be locked. Get plate, screw in plate. Tell Tom to press the buttons. Firstly, Tom refuses to hand over the plate with the funny numbers on it, because it's part of his opus. Secondly, he couldn't pass it through the small openings in the grate even if he wanted to give it to Ruby. And thirdly, Tom tells Ruby that when he pressed the middle button, he was electrocuted. He hasn't pressed any of the others, and he will refuse to press any of the others until he's confident they will result in a near-death experience. Lastly, he has no clue what the overhead hatch does. He's never seen it open. Remind us, what is Ruby's current inventory? Ruby's carrying 2 coins, a can opener, a pair of rubber gloves, and now a tiny treasure chest. Tell Tom that you don't believe him unless he presses another button. Tom pouts and says that's fine because he doesn't trust you either. Examine Z hatch. It's a small portal in the north wall. Ruby might be able to fit through it if she crawled, but it's a moot point since it's blocked by a metal shutter. Hand over gloves. The gloves won't fit through the grate. Try prying open the chest with the coins. No luck. There's not enough of a gap to pry it. Ask him what funny numbers is on that metal plate. Tom says he doesn't trust you now and he won't tell you the magic numbers on the plate. Maybe getting him to dislike you was a bad idea. You're probably going to need those numbers. Offer sexual favors for his cooperation. Tell him you'll sex him up if he cooperates. Seems a little extreme. Ruby's not very eager to just give up her body for some stranger to ravage just so she can get a few numbers, especially if there's an alternative. And anyway, she's shy. There must be a way to win over the cat that's not quite so embarrassing. I imagine... Hold on a second. Any further searching for Ruby, Tom, 34 will result in spoilers? Wow. That is absolutely... It's not NSFW, but it gets there. How about Ruby just flashes him her tits? Oh no, unfortunately for all parties involved, Ruby's flat as a board. That probably won't work. Give the cat the fish. Ruby slips Tom some of the small fish as a gesture of goodwill. He's hungry, so he accepts. Apologize to Tom and mention nonchalantly that you were jealous of his epic opus. Feeling a bit calm by your offering a fish, Tom graciously offers to rotate the piece to face you. Go upstairs and enter open Z hatch 211 into the terminal. Sure enough, Tom's code seems to work and the system accepts the function. Climb back down to tell Tom you'll see where the hatch goes and crawl through it and try to come back to him. Climbing back down, Ruby finds the Z hatch is now open. Just on the other side of the wall is a small room. Ruby tells Tom she'll be right back. Tom nods absent in reply. Okay, I just won't read them out loud. Crawl through the hatch. Ruby gets on all fours and crawls through the hatch with a rather suggestive series of movements. But since that's boring, let's just skip ahead to the part where she emerges in the room on the other side of the wall. Explain what each button seems to do. Ruby has no idea what each button seems to do. Perhaps you should interpret it. Take diagram of buttons and give it to Tom. Looks like there was something behind the diagram. Inspect what looks like a safe on the wall in the room. It's some sort of metal cabinet, but it's locked up with a padlock. Very dirty word, that furry. Take down a picture of fish. It looks like an eye, actually. Look through what looks like a grate in the door to the left of the room. The slot in the door is closed and appears to be opened only from the other side. You bring the diagram to Tom. He is already starting to trust you. And with the added incentive that only one electrocution symbol is present on the diagram, you manage to convince him the other buttons will not administer shocks. It's time to choose. Which button should Tom press? Button 1. Tom hesitates, standing close to the grate, then presses button 1. Not for a moment, considering the diagram could have been coded based on the key sequence listed on the wall panel by the fish tank. Luckily, that doesn't seem to be the case anyway. But nothing appears to happen, except that the button sinks into the wall just like the Electra button did, and for a moment there seems to be a faint, distant beep. Check the aforementioned panel. In actuality, the panel seems to be some sort of card reader. It has 3 lights, all red right in a row. Oh shit, I just got it. I know what just happened. Go back upstairs. On returning to the first room, Ruby notices something's changed. Press down button. Ruby presses the down arrow button, and in the far corner of the room, another hatch opens up. Looking down, the true F slur. Jesus. Looking down, Ruby sees that the shaft leads straight into Tom's cell, but there's no ladder, so it is flipped. Have Tom press button 2 now. Ruby calls down the open shaft and tells Tom to press button 2 now. Tom presses the second button, which causes the metal shutters of the Z hatch to shut immediately. Tell him to press button 2 a second time. Tom presses the button again, and the hatch slides open. Check inventory. Ruby's carrying 5 items at the moment. Examine all the symbols closely. Try and combine each of the items with each other in any and all ways that would not destroy any of the items. Using 1 coin, the rubber gloves, a tiny chest, and a piece of the button diagram, Ruby fashions together the Junkotron missile launcher. This baby could break through a steel wall. No, wait, they don't. Too bad. I thought you were really onto something there. Help. The help and information prompt is markedly unhelpful. The system seems to be local rather than connected to any external source, which means no internet. Let's try to reach for the lever for now. Unfortunately, the shaft is too far to reach the lever from above. Drop the can opener down the chute and have him open the can. Look out below. Tom sets to working open the can. Success. Tom completely mangles the tin can beyond anything usable due to his incompetence in operating a can opener. But for inside the sealed can, he recovers an access card. Have him toss up the card and the letter opener. Despite Tom's impressive and manly physique, the card has too much air resistance because of its shape and refuses to be tossed up the shaft. Toss it so the edge goes into the wind. Tom, duh. It's no use. The access card can't be thrown that far without fluttering uselessly out of control. The letter opener, on the other hand, sails through easily. Open up the treasure chest using the letter opener. Unfortunately, there are still no cracks in the treasure chest big enough to pry anything in. It's sealed flush. Can he throw the panel with 4 screws up? No problem for someone with such manly physique. Wire plans. Sadly, there's not nearly enough wire left in the barrel to make a cord down. Even less considered, they'd have to be twisted together well enough to hold. Even with a cannibalized circuit panel, there wouldn't be enough. Okay, it's obvious there's a way to get the card out without using a method of throwing it, so let's go look for useful stuff in the Z-Hatch room. Wisely giving up this poorly imagined line of thought, Ruby instead descends back to explore the lower levels more, now armed with a heftier inventory. She waves to Tom, whom she is happy to see is still alive. Fun fact, Tom started this in the comic about Animal Crossing. Oh, okay. Screw plate back. Ruby decides to replace the nameplate before exploring the Z room again. Despite the fact there are no visible mechanisms, however, once the plate is replaced, an access card emerges from a hidden slot on the fish tank's pedestal. Use access card in slot. Yeah, don't trust that user. Yeah. The card reader eats the card. It's gone. In response, one of the lights turns from red to green. Go into the next room and examine again. Ruby re-enters the Z room. Something seems different. Say hello to whoever's behind the door. Ruby attempts at a conversation are futile. The eyes stare coldly and silently from beyond the slot in the door. Examine couch. The only interesting thing about the couch is how unremarkable it is. It doesn't even have distinct cushions to rifle through. Try to remove the eye. Use the letter opener to pry the frame. Ruby fiddles with the letter opener and doing so finds out that it fits perfectly into the empty pupil in the eyeball painting. It locks into position. How about that? Soft click comes from the door. Open the door. Fair enough. Ugh. Ah! Just Code Geass. Go into the closet hallway of death. It's a small closet, not much room inside it. It reeks of death, but at this point, what choice does Ruby have? Quah! Son of a bitch. I knew the Z and Z-Hatch meant zombie. Ah! Run. Ruby flees the room as fast as she can, but the monstrous thing is hot on her heels, smacking after her. Shut the hatch! As Ruby re-enters the room, she shouts at Tom to press button 2 again and fast. Tom's already in a confused panic after hearing the unearthly scream. Tom presses the button. Ah! Make friends. Feed fish to zombies. Head back into the Z room. Tom opens the hatch just to make sure the monstrous thing is dealt with. No sign of movement comes from it or the room beyond, and there's only silence. Very bloody. Inside the small closet is a ball of string. Ruby takes it with her. Something golden remains. Pick it up. It appears to be a teeny tiny key. Use it on the teeny treasure chest. It clicks open softly. There's an access card inside. Use string to retrieve key card now? Ruby heads back into the room with the cell. Ruby calls down the instructions and lowers the string. Tom ties the card to the end and Ruby pulls it back up. Tom asks Ruby to let him out. Tom really wants to come out. Tom says he's scared and he's trapped. Tom asks Ruby to please let him out now. Let him out. Ruby uses the 2 remaining access cards and the reader promptly turns green for all 3 lights. They have no arms, you cruel fiend! Hug him. Oh. Okay, so that was the first Ruby quest. Or part 1, I should say. There's 9 parts. Okay. As we last left off, Tom is free from his cell, but both he and Ruby are still stuck in an unfamiliar place. Both go up ladder. Tom and Ruby both go back up to the room Ruby woke up in. Hot, sweaty, terrified sex to comfort each other in this horrifying place. Ruby's far too shy to do something like that with a stranger, especially in this situation, especially with the fact there can be hidden cameras watching. It's not the kind of thing she'd want to have someone get on tape. Besides, there are more pressing matters right now. Ask Tom what he has in his pockets. Tom is carrying the can opener Ruby found, as well as a tap and one unopened condom. Oh. Check for cameras, get really drunk, then have sex. There are no cameras visible here, but Ruby's still too self-conscious to ignore the possibility they might just be hidden. Also, there's no alcohol around. Inspect the fish tank. A few large fish-shaped shadows move through the murky water beyond the large porthole. It's hard to see much of anything through it. Ask the bugger if he knows what this place is and why he was in prison. Tom already explained he woke up in the cell downstairs and doesn't know what this place is. Ask him to demonstrate his manly physique by pushing the barrel over to the side to see what's under it. No problem for a strong man like Tom. Inspect cubbyhole. The small recess in the wall doesn't lead anywhere. However, there's yet another access card side. Tom pockets it. Also, ask Tom why he has a condom. Tom says he doesn't know. He just woke up with it in his pockets. He doesn't remember carrying it. After we inspect the new niche, we pull the lever. Tom and Ruby head back down to the access hatch. The lever is rather high. It's possible that even the two of them together won't be able to reach it. Have Tom push barrel down the hatch, the open ladderless hatch. Look out below. Barrel got a little crushed from the impact. Tom flips the barrel over so that the open end is on the floor. Ruby climbs onto the barrel. Tom climbs onto Ruby, and Tom pulls the lever. Tom flips over the barrel, but Ruby realizes that with her girlish figure, she'd never be able to lift Tom. I guess Ruby will have to get on Tom's shoulders then. Tell Tom no peeking. Tom obligingly lifts Ruby up with some effort, and they balance precariously on the dented barrel. Obligingly? I'm not going to get into that, but that's not really the context. That's not how you use oblige in a sentence. Tom obligingly lifts Ruby up with some effort, and they balance precariously on the dented barrel. Ruby reaches for the pull switch. Ruby yanks the pull switch down with determined force. Something upstairs... We're getting Shakespearean up in this bitch. Ruby yanks the pull switch down with determined force. Something upstairs gives a low, ominous rumble that echoes through the walls. The pull switch cord suddenly snaps up into the ceiling. The noise has stopped. Hey, someone's speaking. Go back up and see what that noise was. Upon climbing back up the access hatch, the change seems immediately obvious. Whoops. Step through carefully into the darkness. Ruby decides that they both simultaneously step blindly into the darkness beyond the doorway. They're both eaten by grooves. As they enter the room, the lights suddenly turn on. Luckily for them, there appears to be no danger here. There's a sealed door to the west with a padlock. Check the console. If it's inoperable, we should try the card in that slot. Tom slips the card into the slot, where it disappears with a click. However, there's no response from the console whatsoever. It's not even turning on. Are we standing on a trapdoor? No, but there's a rectangular imprint here, as if something used to be here. So is that the door we came in by the bottom of the screen? Yes. Inspect the strange hook-like thing on the wall. There's some sort of raised rectangle on the wall which prominently features some strange marking. At the bottom of the marking, where the lines meet, there's a cross-shaped indentation. Let's check that box thing in the corner. Maybe it opened that? The box doesn't appear locked, but around the latch it's been sealed shut with what looks like glue or caulk. What is that thing up on the top of the locker? To the right. Some kind of disc lies at the top of the locker. It features an image of an eye and has a single protrusion. Poke it now, in the eye. Tom gives Ruby a strange look as she pokes the eye. It feels like wood and doesn't react in any way. Take the disc. Ruby grabs and pockets the wooden disc. Use tiny key unlock. The tiny key from the treasure box has already been used up. Go back to Z room, hatch room, and grab the letter opener so we can pry open the chest. Ruby heads back to the room beyond the Z hatch. Inspect the eye to see what happened to the letter opener. Also compare the eye Ruby is carrying in the bloody eye on the wall. Dark red stains have trailed down from the eye. The letter opener is gone. The eyes are similar in that they are both eyes, but they're not particularly distinctive, and they're obviously not the same size. Ruby should take a closer look at the pipe. Is the blue stripe painted on, or is that a window to the interior? Upon closer inspection, the pipe running from the ceiling to the east wall is painted with a blue stripe, probably for identification purposes. What do the things look like in Zombie Closet now? Nothing's changed. It's still a rather bare and bloody closet. Inspect the wall safe. Nothing new there either. Still locked. The cabinet refuses to budge. Is it possible to use the disc on the wall safe/cabinet? There doesn't appear to be any way the disc can work on the safe. Further, the circular symbol on the safe is not a recess. It's simply painted on. Move couch or call for Tom to assist with couch moving? Actually, just go check on Tom and bring him along. Ruby re-enters upstairs to get Tom to come down with her. Ruby and Tom return to the room. Tom doesn't look so well. Ruby realizes Tom hasn't seen this room yet. Move couch. Ruby politely asks Tom to move the couch. With his manly physique, the task is no problem, and the wide couch slides away from the wall, revealing a small access hatch even smaller than the Z hatch used to enter the room. It appears to open to a lit room on the other side. Carefully peek into the other room. Carefully. Ruby kneels down to see that the room beyond has bare metal walls and exposed pipes and circuitry, and is probably some sort of maintenance area. There doesn't appear to be any immediate dangers like people, fire, or big, obvious traps. Due to the size of the hatch, however, only Ruby with her girlish figure would be able to squeeze through. Tom would have to stay behind somewhere. Get out the can opener for self-defense. Ruby requests the can opener back from Tom, who returns it. Crawls through the hatch and have Tom wait back in his cell where he won't be at risk of being driven insane by the blood. Tom agrees to wait where you found him. Rather than in the bloody room, Ruby crawls through. Ruby emerges into the new room, which does appear to be a maintenance room. Piping is everywhere. A glass tube runs to the ceiling, and the east wall features a vent to the circuit board. The blue pipe runs through here. Who the fuck is that? Ask them nicely. Have Ruby wave at the person looking at her. There's no one in the room but Ruby. Ugh. Inspect everything. There's a circuit board on the east wall. It appears to be missing a square component, but no wires are damaged. Above it is a closed vent. It's a device containing purple liquid with a sort of plug-like hole set in it, and beneath that, drips of purple. There's no visible faucet to remove the liquid. There's what appears to be a pneumatic tube running through the ceiling with a small compartment here. There's a metal transfer compartment in the wall like a bank deposit drawer. There's a strange device near the west wall with an LED readout that says sample, but has no obvious buttons, controls, or instructions beyond that. Recheck inventory. Ruby's carrying 2 coins, rubber gloves, a button diagram, a ball of string, and a can opener. Get a cup from the water cooler and get some of that purple drink there. There are no cups here, and even if there were, there's no faucet on the front of the liquids container, just a socket. Open the metal drawer. There appears to be something inside. It looks like a hand. Put on gloves. Do we still have them? And pick up the severed hand to see if there's anything under it. Ruby uses her gloves to pick up the icky hand, but there's only stains underneath it. She can't tell how it was severed, but it looks fairly fresh. Look out the window and scout the surroundings. At this angle, Ruby can't see much of the small adjacent room, save for 3 things. Some sort of dummy on a post, a large red stain on the opposite wall, a round device in the wall, looks like a clock. Get tap from Tom. Ruby calls to Tom, who tosses his tap through the hatch for her. Attaches the tap to the purple water cooler. Ruby attaches the tap to the container of purple liquid, which now seems ready to dispense. Fill 1 glove with purple drink and tie it off. The gloves are too thick and sturdy to just tie off with a thin string. They certainly wouldn't keep the liquid in. Put severed hand in pneumatic mail chute. Ruby puts the disembodied hand in the pneumatic chute. As soon as the chute door closes, the sound of loud pneumatic pressure comes from the tube. The hand quickly and messily travels up the tube and out of sight. Use Tom's condom to hold the purple stuff. Ruby calls Tom to the hatch and explains that she needs his condom. Tom gets an odd look on his face. Explain what we intend to do with it. Tom's expression changes but passes the condom through the hatch nonetheless. No, not for that reason. Sad face. Ruby unwraps the condom and fills it with purple liquid, which smells unpleasantly plastic. No cure. Pour some liquid into that funnel thing on the left. In a somewhat unpleasant move, Ruby tips the condom upside down and pours out the purple liquid into the funnel. The LED displays changes after a moment. Sample inert. Put it on the gloves and take some of the blood from the box, like scoop it out or just get some blood some way and put it in the sampler. Ruby uses the gloves to drip a quantity of blood into the funnel, which prompts a new LED display. This gives me an idea. Why not put the blood of the zombie inside the sampler and see what happens? Ruby flecks some of the spilt blood into the sampler, which displays yet another prompt. Self-sample contaminated. Please insert a less dilute sample. Have Ruby use the glove and collect a sample directly from the head. Ruby crawls out of the hatch to get a sample from the head itself. That's odd. Ask Tom if the head was still there when he was in the cell just before. Tom insists he was just in the other room and the head was still there. He definitely didn't see it come through here. Tom speculates that if it went anywhere, there would be a blood trail. He suggests perhaps it simply dissolved like the rest of the body. Tom's looking a little uneasy again. I want to go get some fresher air. Ruby and Tom move back into the prison room for fresher air. Kiss if appropriate. Ruby contemplates kissing Tom and wonders if he might get the wrong idea. No, you fool. If you're infected, he catches it through transmission of bodily fluids, and if he's infected, we catch it. Tom begins vomiting. Tom says he's having excruciating, sharp stomach pains. He said he wasn't feeling this before. It's very sudden. Sample the blood. Use on checker. Do it fast. He might be dying. A lot of stress might have caused a stomach ulcer or worse. Ruby dabs some blood up on the fingers of the glove and excuses herself. She promises to be right back. Back at the sampler, Ruby inserts a sample of Tom's blood and the LED triggers a familiar message. Maybe the machine isn't to analyze blood. Ruby considers her options carefully. Tom's suddenly sick and there are no doctors around. This could be serious. Look behind you. Nervously wave. It's just a mirror. Try mixing blood with the purple stuff. Thinking of no other way to do it, Ruby pours a little of the purple stuff from the tap to the floor, then flecks blood onto it from the glove. It hisses and smokes violently. It smells caustic, like burnt plastic. Use purple stuff on fish. Ruby goes back to the other room, retrieves the last 2 fish from the tank, and touches one of them to the purple puddle. It sizzles and smokes visibly, and the scales start to dissolve slightly. The little eye token. Would that fit into the missing spot on the circuit board? No, the disc is thick and circular. The missing spot on the circuit board is small and square. Use fish on analyzer. Ruby, feeling a bit disgusted, mashes up the fish as best she can to get it fit in the funnel. Moments after Ruby inserts the fish paste into the funnel, a new message appears on the LED display. A few seconds later, a new display comes up. Treatment found. Dimer requesting treatment error, main power grid is offline. A third message pops up. Evidently something is not receiving power. Fill condom with purple fluid. Bring purple fluid upstairs. Ruby fills the condom with purple fluid, ties it off for safety, and heads back up. Tom is looking unhealthy. Use fluid on glue. Ruby fumbles with the condom, rather unfamiliar with these things, and finally tears it open a bit harder than she tends to. Thankfully, she avoids contact with the purple stuff and it spills all over the glue. It doesn't damage the box, but the glue dissolves rapidly. Inside the box, Ruby finds a small electronic chip and a longshoreman's hook. She takes both. Puts a chip in the circuit board so we can restore power. Hopefully. Also, fuck your pirate hand. Do a pirate impression to lighten the mood. Ruby heads downstairs on her way to the circuit board. She explains to Tom that he has arsenic poisoning and she's going to get a cure for him. Also, to lighten the mood, Ruby does her best pirate impression, complete with a voice. Tom smiles weakly. Ruby plugs the chip into the circuit board, and the frame glows a bright green as the air around her hums warmly. Power must be back on. Something mechanical in the walls moves, and a filled vial suddenly pops up with a pneumatic whoosh from the analyzer. Unfortunately, returning the power grid to full functionality seems to have triggered another effect as well. The room is bathed in red light. Circus board? Is that what it said? Or did it say circuit board? Did I? Well, no, I said circuit board. It probably sounded like circus board. Sometimes something mechanical on the wall moves and a filled vial, blah, 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 blah. A loud hissing sound comes from above the circuit board as the blinds on the duct open and start venting something into the room. Remove the chip. Yeah, it's probably because I'm reading very fast. The circuit board is protected by the green fluid, even with the rubber gloves on. It's too painful for Ruby to touch. Turn on pneumatic tube. Pneumatic tube only works when it's closed. Break the tube. Summoning all her strength, Ruby batches open the pneumatic tube, but the door is still closed. An impressive vacuum force begins drawing in the noxious smoke, but it's a temporary solution. The gas is still pouring in, the room is still sealed. Break mirror. Ruby decides she has no other choice. The mirror has to go. Maybe, just maybe, it'll provoke a good reaction. Ruby rears back, then smashes at the barrier before her, and the mirror shatters with an echoing cacophony of breaking glass. Ruby has broken the mirror. Oh, that's not good. Hook. Puts the hook in there. Bam. Fighting. She gets scratched. But with the hook, hits onto the circuit board. Electrocuted. Bright light. Explosion. The alarm seems to have stopped. The hatch door is open again. Ruby feels like she's about to black out. The world is closing in around Ruby. Everything goes black. End of chapter 2. Whoa. Jesus. All right. Guys, come on. Ruby wakes up. Where are we? Is it a soft surface? Do we still have all our limbs and organs? Ruby appears to be in a bed. She feels mostly unhurt, but disorientated. She appears to be in one piece. Inventory. Well, I thought it was going to just be like, okay, this is a synopsis of what just happened. It wasn't the question mark that got. Inventory. Ruby's wearing pajamas. She's not carrying any items. Open the curtain. Curtain is already open. Look out window. No, that's good. You're good. It was a split second, and it's drawn. You know, it's not real. So also there was maybe a nipple, but like you can get away with a lot when it's drawn. Real fake nips. Yep. What if Ruby's trans? Brings up a lot of questions on how that even works. Can you show a trans woman's nipples on television? If someone doesn't believe trans people exist and they're in charge of the FCC, okay, yeah, that did update. All right. A lot of questions there. Lots of questions there. It's too bright to see much with her eyes adjusted to the darkness. Try to think back before we woke up in the coffin. Ruby can't remember a coffin. Ruby knows something. This is her bedroom. Open drawer. There's a copper key inside. Ruby pockets the copper key. Is Ruby able to see someone else? And if so, does she recognize them? Tom is here. Say hello or otherwise try to initiate communication. Ruby says hi to Tom. She wonders why Tom is in her bedroom. Tom does not respond. Check his face. Ruby gently turns Tom around to look at his face. Roll for initiative. Oh. This isn't Tom and this isn't Ruby's room. Check door. The odd door is set into the wall, flush with its edges, and is also locked. Also inspect inventory. Some of Ruby's items are missing. She's also holding the copper key. Inspect the circle thing on the wall. There's a strange circular thing on the wall opposite the broken window/mirror, which looks almost like a clock. There are no hands, but there is a circular peg in the center. There are no numbers, only 4 odd numbers. Use our big bunny ears to listen to the box labeled "Do Not Open." There's no sound coming from inside that Ruby can make out. See if the door is unlocked. The door has a small copper lock. Figure out if climbing back through the broken window is a safe method of leaving. The window is still too small for Ruby to fit through, and even if she could, it's lined with sharp broken plate glass. Check waste bin thingy next to the dummy. It looks almost like a filing cabinet. There's only one drawer, but it won't open. It seems jammed rather than locked since there's no keyhole. Check sink. There's a small depression on the surface just beside the sink's basin. Otherwise, the sink is unremarkable, if a bit bare. Anyways, fiddle with the knobs on the faucet. Ruby turns the knob, but no water comes out. Maybe it's broken. Check blue banner. A large tarpaulin? Tarpaulin? Tarp-alun? Is stretched tightly over the wall above the window. Tap do not open box. Speak to box to ask if anything is inside. The box does not respond to Ruby's provocation. I've never... Okay, let's see. Tarpaulin. A sheet of strong, flexible, water-resistant, or waterproof material. Yeah, it is. It is short for it. That's crazy. I've never in my life have I... I don't know how that's never come up in my life before. That's insane. Open that. I've never seen someone call it that. I feel like I've bought tarps before, and I've never. Open the do not open box. That's true. Mm-hmm. If I've bought a tarp, it's only been a couple times. The crate is closed tightly. Ruby will never be able to open it with her bare hands. Try to rip and tear Scarecrow. The post dummy is too sturdy to tear apart barehanded. Look under/remove banner. The blue tarpaulin is firmly nailed to the wall, too tightly to just pull down even if Ruby could reach it at a comfortable angle. It's also too tight to peek under. Inspect black window and little diagram next to it beside the door. It's some sort of digital screen, but it's blank. Immediately underneath is what appears to be a high-tech palm scanner. Use copper key on the copper lock. The door unlocks and the key becomes predictably stuck. The door can be opened now. Try using Ruby's hand on the palm scanner. Ruby's palm doesn't work. The machine beeps once with a very incorrect sounding beep, and a tiny red light blinks a few times. Carefully take a piece of the glass from the window or broken lying around and slice open and cut the dummy apart. Ouch! The glass is too dangerously sharp to use as a tool, and the dummy's exterior is thick and padded. Ruby's skin gives way before the dummy's, and she accidentally cuts her palm with the glass. Attempt to remove the nails holding the tarp by standing on the do not open box and remove the nails of the coins. The nails aren't in there all the way, so they can't be pried, or the nails aren't in all the way, so they can't be pried with the coins, but despite her strongest effort, they still refuse to be pulled out of the wall with Ruby's bare hands. Is that a hangman's noose around the dummy's neck? It appears to be. Ruby fusses with it, but can't get it untied. Also, is the stand bolted to the ground? Yes. Open the tray/drawer that had the hand in it. It's bloody, but empty. Look outside the broken window, please. In the maintenance room that Ruby was trapped in, fought something in, and was nearly poisoned with a flood of gas in it. It looks the same as before. Not a banner players, a tarpaulin. Go through door. Ruby opens the door. This place looks familiar. The door seems to have been set into the wall in such a way as to appear hidden when closed. Go upstairs. Ruby is back in the room with the lockers. Look at the terminal to see if there's any information on it. Nothing new has appeared on the console. Inspect the buttons on the locker Ruby was originally trapped in. The buttons are all unlit and gray now. Pressing them yields no result. However, there's a familiar-looking vial inside the locker labeled Susimer? Ruby pockets the arsenic antidote. How dare they be fish? Check other locker. Ruby finds her ball of string and pockets it. That is the most we could do. Back down the ladder. Also, should we inspect the Z-hatch first or try to pull on the ceiling lever? Ruby returns to the lower room and notices that the lever on the ceiling has descended again. Use the key and string to make a lasso. Ruby doesn't have the key. It got stuck in the lock. It showed up in her inventory because someone was too careless to delete it from the display after it got used up. She certainly can't reach it like this, even standing on the heavy barrel. To the Z-hatch room. Upon arrival, barring something important moving, inspect the tube. Ruby enters the back room through the Z-hatch. Say hello. Ruby cautiously says hello and introduces herself. The man greets Ruby and introduces himself as Red. Ruby asks Red a number of questions. He responds very calmly and briefly to each one. He doesn't know how he got here. He doesn't know how long he's been here. He doesn't know what this place is. He hasn't seen anyone by Tom's description. Ask him if he'd like to escape with her. Red shakes his head. Red tells Ruby there's nothing to escape from. He's not trapped anywhere. Red is very uninterested in all of Ruby's questions. Ask him for help pulling the lever. Ruby asks Red to help pull the lever. Red smiles and agrees to go with Ruby. Red obligingly follows Ruby to the other room and offers to pull the lever himself. He stands on the stoves on the barrel and uses his cane to latch the lever. Red smiles, his action successful. The lever again snaps back into the ceiling and a loud shifting sound comes from upstairs. We're missing the little eye disc thingy. Ruby never picked that up. Ask Red. Red says he's getting very tired of Ruby's questions. Red tells Ruby that if she doesn't stop asking questions, he might have to bite her throat out, apologize, and offer him some fish. Red smiles at Ruby's reaction. He says he's just kidding. Give him some fish as a gift of our appreciation. There are no more fish. Ruby used the last one to test the sample. All that remains is the painted fish on the back wall of the aquarium tank. Ask Red. Ruby decides maybe it's not best to ask Red anything more right now. Thank Red and go upstairs. Ruby returns upstairs. Enter computer room. Ruby enters the other room. The screens have changed. Perhaps restoring power brought the system back online. The eye-marked disc is on the floor where Ruby knocked it after the opening the chest earlier. Pick up monocle. There's no monocle here. Examine screens closer. There's text on the monitors. Ruby pockets the one disc with the eye on it and the triangle on one end. Several small, difficult-to-see images appear on the secondary monitors. Ruby presses Y. A larger, clear image appears on the main monitor. Ruby presses C. A new image comes up. Tom. Higher access level required. The system doesn't seem to show any more cameras. They cannot spell. Ruby heads to the maintenance room. Red isn't in the cell room anymore. Ruby returns to the maintenance room. Yell Tom into the tube. There's no answer. The tube must not work that way. Tie the button diagram around the tube with a string to see if we can restore some suction. The thick paper of the diagram curves around the pipe and suddenly gets stuck over the hole as the suction is restored. The hole is sealed with a makeshift patch, but it might not last very long. Ruby ties it in place with string just to be safe. Get hand back if possible? Fuck yes, send antidote now. Ruby puts the arsenic antidote in the pneumatic tube, and on closing the door, it shoots up and out of sight. How will Tom know if it's from us and isn't the antidote? We need to send something. Piece of her clothing? I see what you did, Dar. Ruby returns to the room with the monitors. Tom drinks the arsenic antidote. Examine the door, the bottom of the door, the symbol on the wall for any changes, and the thingy on the wall near the toolbox. The bottom of the door is warped and rusted, as if from water damage. Neither the symbol on the wall nor its inset cross-shaped socket have changed. The panel in the lower right features 5 familiarly labeled buttons. Red appears in the doorway. Ask Red. Red reminds Ruby that he doesn't want her to keep asking questions. Red smiles. See how right and that you'll be leaving the room now to explore. Red says he doesn't think so. Red smiles. Red says he's just kidding again. Red moves aside for Ruby and says ladies first. Red follows Ruby downstairs. Red asks Ruby if he can have the coins she's carrying. Give him the coins. Ruby hands the coins. Ruby enters the dummy room. Red follows Ruby in. Inspect the dummy and see if there's a reason it's rotating. The dummy's bolted base appears to be on a swivel, so if pushed, it can rotate. Ask Red if he could please help her remove the tarp. Ruby requests Red's help taking the tarp down. Red smiles and decides to oblige. Red stanks the tarp with his cane and prepares to hop to the ground in order to tear the whole thing down. Red jumps, tearing the nails from the walls and ripping the fabric into useless pieces. The tarp comes down. Red begins to laugh. Okay, so that sliding animation wasn't in the forum. I added it myself. Ruby stares at the horrible sight before her. So there's a guy up there. Red's laughter echoes through the small room. Laugh along, all the while looking for a quick-ass escape. Oh god. Red stopped laughing. Chop that bitch in half. Ruby's not going to attack another innocent survivor. Besides, Red's been helpful so far. Is that a fish on the wall? A drawing of one, yes. Is that a mask on the head? No, there are grisly surgical scars all across the corpse's face and exposed flesh. Red says he's bored. Red leaves the room. Examine writing around corpse. Ruby can't make out any of the scrawled red writing by the body or any of the strange diagrams marked around it. Get the cross thingy from the corpse. Ruby grabs the cross peg. The body in the wall grabs Ruby's arm. Ruby. Ruby is somewhere. Tom is here. Say hello. Ruby says hello. Tom says hello back. Tom says his eye hurts. Red is here. Red is holding a wooden disc. Ask Red to help with examining Tom. Red says he's very, very tired of you asking. Red cuts, question mark, with a wooden disc. Red is 2 coins fish tank. Gas is seeping into the room. Vial, question mark, Tom. Ruby tries rubber gloves across, question mark, doorway. Wake up! This isn't real. Ruby's in the dummy room. Ruby's inventory feels lighter. Use eye disc on wall circle. Ruby doesn't have the eye disc. Ruby picks up the cross peg from where she was just standing. Ruby exits the dummy room. Tom is here. Oh, there we go. Part 4. Let us continue. Ruby reemerges into the room of the cell. Tom is here. Greet Tom, ask him if he's seen Red. Ask him how his stomach are feeling. Tom says his stomach is feeling much better, but his eye is in severe pain. He doesn't know who Red is, but he does say that if you mean that person who keeps smiling, yes, he saw him. Red let Tom out of the room he was trapped in. Just a few minutes ago, Tom came out to look for Ruby. Tom is glad to see Ruby. He says he thought she might be dead. Asked to look at Tom's eye. Tom hesitantly agrees to let Ruby take a look at his eye. Oh boy. That's not good. Ah! Oh. Tom shakes Ruby gently by the shoulder. He asked if she is okay. She just sort of blanked on him for a moment there. Asked Tom to walk to the other side of the room. She thinks she sees something. Tom tells Ruby there's no way he's walking across the room as he doesn't want to fall into the gap. Tom tells Ruby she must have not noticed it. He says it's understandable since she obviously hasn't been here for a while. Ask Tom what has happened in the time she's been gone. Tom explains he's not sick anymore. He took an antidote 3 days ago. He hasn't seen much since he's been locked in a room, but he says that he's been hearing loud creaking and cracking noises echoing from other rooms. Tell Tom to show you where he was locked up. Tom agrees and leads Ruby up the access hatch. That's funny. Tom says the doorway was just open. Examine the bin, the place where her locker used to be, close the Z hatch with the computer, look down the shaft where we push the barrel through, look at that blobby thing. There's a utilitarian metal hamper here. Something is inside. Ruby decides to get it. One moment. There's a pin in the center of the room, spattered with dried blood. Sitting in the center is a scrap of paper. Ruby will pick that up in just a second, too. The hatch in the southeast corner has a ladder, and looking down, it appears to lead into the cell room below. Something about that fact seems odd. The corner has some sort of strange, smooth, organic growth latch onto 2 walls on the floor. It looks almost like skin. Ruby picks up a scrap of paper from the shallow pit. Ruby finds a footy sock pajama foot in the hamper, evidently torn from a full set of pajama bottoms and tied off at about the ankle. It's slightly heavy. Untie the footy pajama, jump out possible contents with care. Inside the footy sock pajama foot, there is a black and white key. Ruby throws away the footy sock pajama foot. Her genre instinct tells her she won't need it. Examine the growth more closely, too. Is it full or hollow? Fleshy or what? It's smooth and fleshy. It's like skin. Crawl down the southeastern hatch. It looks like we can do it without falling. The second hatch now is a ladder leading down. That wasn't there before. Ruby descends the access hatch and enters the room below. Wake up. Pull lever. Ruby tries to pull the lever, but something's blocking it from moving. It looks like part of the mechanism is missing, like a thin metal rod about the size of a toothpick. Tie the string around the lever and exit the room. Ruby ties a small bit of string to the lever, then climbs back up to the room where she first awoke. Tom is still here, looking the door over in confusion. Ask how Tom is doing. Tom says his eye still hurts. Or rather, it hurts where it's supposed to be. Tom explains that he lost his eye while he was being dragged off to the room he spent the last few days in. The thing that brought him there did it. Ruby must just not have noticed, between her flashes and distractions. Ask Tom to describe the thing that brought him there if he remembers. Unfortunately, Tom says he didn't get a good look at whatever dragged him away. He was already sick. He says most of the pain in his eye is gone away by now. Poor Tom's lost his eye. Ruby hugs him for comfort. Tom looks like he feels better. Basically, tell Tom what happened to you. Ruby tells Tom what's happened. Tom explains he's been weak and despondent lately, and unfortunately can't help her with many details, except that the western door in the room with the big console, the one that the fish tank door leads to, is the way into the room he was trapped in. They both agree that the only thing to do now is go forward, explain what was once the Z hatch. Tom and Ruby go back down the access hatch to check the Z hatch. Also, there's a hook on the ground here, but it is not sharp and it is riveted firmly to the ground. It's essentially just a heavy-duty eye hook. Examine the symbol now above the Z hatch. Ruby has a feeling she's seen this somewhere before. Examine the black panel thingy, then go through the hatch of the panels and interesting. It's some sort of movable wall panel, but it won't budge. It must be remotely controlled. Ruby and Tom both head through the Z hatch. Ruby and Tom emerge in the back room. In the small closet to the east on a shelf, there is a large metal safe. Instead of a combination lock, it is a spherical indentation about as big as Ruby's fist, like a socket. I'll be right back. Okay. Obviously, I can't read and eat this at the same time, so I'll take a couple bites and then. Okay. In the small closet to the east on a shelf, there's a large metal safe. Instead of a combination lock, it has a spherical indentation about as big as Ruby's fist, like a socket. The room is also quite clean. See what is around the safe/shelves. Examine the bulb, examine the lock more closely. The shelves are bare, the light bulb is on, looking unremarkable and harsh. The lock is simply a spherical indentation. There's nothing more significant about the socket to speak of. That's all there is to it. Use key on safe. Ruby uses the black and white key on the wall cabinet. Inside the wall cabinet, Ruby finds another paper scrap. She also recovers an old-fashioned black leather medicine bag. Inspect medicine bag. Ruby can't open the medicine bag. There's a tiny padlock of surprising strength keeping it closed. Go east, bring Tom. Ruby heads west. Remember, the view was reversed on entering the back room, and now that the hatch is much larger, she is able to take Tom with her into the side room behind the couch. The dummy's looking at us. Ask Tom to put his hand in the water tank. Press the button on it. Considering it's a giant blender, Ruby decides not to ask Tom to put his hand inside. The window between the rooms is now sealed with a heavy plastic, perhaps to avoid breaking. The electrical panel has been covered up by a protective plate and marked with a symbol for electricity. There's an electrical outlet visible here. Is there a hatch under the window? A little hatch, maybe? Could it be open? The mail slot style drawer between the rooms, which Ruby has used before, is now empty. It's also clean. Examine the 3 thingy. The symbol looks familiar. Ruby remembers seeing that one too. If it gives nothing of importance, head back to the dummy room with Tom. Ruby and Tom head back to the now bisected room, and then the dummy room. As soon as Ruby re-enters the bisected room, the Z-hatch inexplicably slams shut. Tom is sealed on the opposite side of the wall from Ruby. Again, this is getting kind of old. Go to the console upstairs and enter open Z-hatch 211. Ruby returns upstairs. The person behind the door tosses a small, thin metal rod onto the floor. The door closes suddenly. Ruby recovers the thin metal rod. Check on Tom. Ruby can't check on Tom. He's sealed behind the Z-hatch, and the terminal isn't working. It won't even light up. Well, go back to the lever handle thing, put the rod back in place, and give the fucker a tug. Ruby climbs down and replaces the metal rod into the lever. Ruby pulls the lever up, only to find it is more slack than she realized. Something in the room moves in response to the pulling of the lever, but Ruby can't really see it from here. On the way up, press the second button from the top. Ruby releases the lever and steps it back up, down, into place. Something in the room moves again. Pull it tight and tie it to one of the rungs of the ladder with the string. The thick cord easily snaps the flimsy string. Ruby attempts to press the second button from the top, but it's been mashed in and broken. It looks like someone struck it hard with something, or else they don't know their finger strength. Bring lever up the ladder with you. If there's still slack, head back down to the side of the room with the eye hook and attach the lever to eye hook. Ruby heads upstairs. There sure is a lot of slack here. Ruby hooks the lever's handle onto the eye hook. Ruby retrieves the crowbar. Pry open the Z-hatch to try and save Tom. The thick metal shutters on the Z-hatch are way too strong for Ruby to pry open. Smash open the little metal lock with a crowbar. The lock is surprisingly resilient, but Ruby knew this already. Maybe it's not so surprising. Use crowbar on the boarded up hole. Delicious plank pulling action. Ruby rapidly returns to the boarded up hole, but she's not strong enough to pry the boards free. Her girlish figure is just not up to the task. She very repeatedly returns to the other side. How considerate of her. Go to the room to the left. Ruby heads west. Ruby enters the dummy room. Try to remove rope from dummy. Ruby tried before. She can't manage it. Inspect new plaque under the trauma part of the wall. There's some sort of large black and white painting on the wall. Beneath it, there's a plaque in language Ruby cannot understand. Check the thing under the mail slot. It appears to be a button diagram similar to the one that was upstairs in the control room. It seems to have a different layout. Perhaps it coincides with the one in the other room somehow. Use crowbar and jammed filing cabinet. Luckily, the cabinet is not jammed very hard, and the crowbar makes short work of it. Inside, Ruby finds a tiny key. Tiny key on tiny padlock. Go. The medicine bag doesn't have anything that would help Tom inside anyway. Ruby unlocks it with the tiny key and recovers a paper scrap and a very sharp scalpel. Try checking the deposit box again. Still empty. Check the clock on the wall. Nothing has changed. Try the sink. The faucet still doesn't work. There's no water at all. Use scalpel on biological growth in the locker room. Ruby returns to the locker room. Ruby does her best to carve at the fleshy growth and uncovers the cubbyhole beneath it. The eyeball, though strangely oversized, is not nearly as big as Ruby's fist. It won't fit in the spherical safe lock. Uncomfortably, Ruby picks up the eye and stores it away. Ruby cleverly condenses her inventory. Examine the panel on the wall next to the closed doorway. It's a 4-digit password panel. Above it is a diagram of a happy fish. It appears to be powered down at the moment. Attached to it is an extendable power cord. Enter code and leet. Get pulling, let's see how far this sucker goes. Ruby pulls the cord to the furthest location she could walk to. Looks like there's plenty of slack. Tom arrives on the other side of the thick window. Try to pass the cable through the mail slot. That would never work. The mail slot is specifically designed to only open to one side of the wall at a time. Send the eye to Tom and try to ask if it's his for no real reason. That's terrible. Even if the eye was his, it's past the point where it could be reattached, even if there were proper medical facilities available. Ruby is not so cruel as to do that to Tom for no reason. Smash window with crowbar. The thick window is made of some sort of very resilient plexiglass. It refuses to give. Search for an outlet on this side then. Are we strong enough to move the do not open box? The box is sealed tight. Ruby's girlish figure isn't enough to force the do not open box open. Ask Tom if he has anything in his pockets. Sadly, this time Tom is carrying nothing. No tap, no can opener, no condoms. Send Tom the crowbar and see if he and his manly physique can open the grate to the Z-hatch. Ruby sends the crowbar to Tom through the drop slot. Tom receives the crowbar. With this weapon of potential destruction, Tom feels his manliness surging back. His manly physique is at its peak. He poses triumphantly to celebrate. Tom feels like he could do something seriously bashing here, at least to most things that aren't specifically designed to stand up to bashing. We haven't even looked at the eye in the Z room. Tell Tom to inspect it closely. It's just a painting. Tom doesn't see anything particularly destroyable about it. Pry off the lightning bolt panel. Tom would rather not be electrocuted by prying off the panel on the high voltage panel in the other room. Destroy the bank teller shelf. It's the only thing that allows Tom and Ruby to pass items. They may need it. Z-hatch appears open. What are you talking about? It's obviously closed. Stop getting Tom's hopes up. Something needs to be smashed, damn it. Take out them shelves in the closet and mind the light. Fuck yeah! Tom goes to work smashing up the shelves for no good reason. Carefully avoids breaking the light bulb. Then he decides what the heck and smashes the light bulb anyway. It's very satisfying. Smash sofa. Tom's anti-inanimate object bloodlust has subsided. Besides, the couch is so utilitarian, nothing about smashing it would probably be any fun. Pry opens the hatch. Z-hatch is strong, so it severed the monster in half earlier. Tom's efforts would be wasted against its thick steel shutters. Pry shit off the walls, starting with the painting. You guys are really reaching. The painting won't come off. It's set into the wall. Insert many stupid ideas here. No! And you don't need to third an idea. You're only flooding the thread with pointless comments. I'm sure Tom heard you first time. Gosh, you guys. I mean, geez. Switch back to Ruby. Go back to the set of buttons alongside the ladder near the lever. Have Tom look up the next step on GameFAQs. Ruby decides to get off her fluffy white butt and goes to the buttons again. Which buttons should Ruby press? Think carefully. Pressing random buttons may not be wise. Ruby's pretty sure she remembers seeing a diagram earlier. Top one. Are you sure? Okay, but don't say you weren't warned. Ruby presses the top button. Ruby hears soft, distant sounds of running water. Nothing else seems to have happened. Press button 4. Ruby taps button 4. There's a loud rumbling sound from somewhere in another room, but otherwise no visible change. Ruby decides to check on Tom. He's okay, but there's a weird clanking sound nearby, like something moving around in metal. Ruby tells Tom she's pressed some buttons. Tom says a minute or two ago something started making noises from the pipe overhead. Every 30 seconds or so, a clanking, clattering sound echoes in the pipes, like something's passing through there. Try breaking open the pipe and seeing what it is. The pipes here are all shielded with thick metal plates. Tom wisely moves back to the back room where the pipe is exposed. Tom lets fly with the crowbar and assaults the old pipe. For better or for worse, the pipe is smashed wide open. Just in time, the rumbling sound is coming this way again. A perfect glass sphere comes tumbling down the shaft and lands softly, unharmed, on the soft yet utilitarian couch. Use it on the safe. Tom unlocks the safe using the glass sphere in the safe lock socket. Inside the safe, Tom finds some sort of peculiar wooden disc. Go back into the tech room, put the disc into the mail slot, and send it to Ruby. Tom passes the strange disc to Ruby, who looks a bit startled to see it. Ruby sets the wooden disc onto the peg in the clock-like device. It fits perfectly. To which symbol should Ruby point the disc? Top one. Ruby points the dial disc to the top symbol. The sound of sliding metal comes from nearby. Just as Ruby has hoped, the symbol must have opened the Z-hatch. Tom enters the room, looking pleased to see Ruby. He carries the extendable power cord Ruby forgot in the other room. Hug Tom. Ruby hugs Tom. Tom goes a step further. Ruby returns to the clock. She turns the dial away from the top symbol, and she can hear the Z-hatch slam down again. Ruby turns the dial to the bottom symbol. A faint sound of sliding metal can be heard through the plexiglass. Turn dial to the top. Go to the other side, leave Tom behind, ask Tom to turn the dial to the bottom again. Ruby uses the dial to open the Z-hatch and heads towards... Can love bloom in the disturbing series of rooms? Snake, do you think love could bloom on the battlefield? It's a room on the other side of the glass. Ruby's head is killing her. Oh god. Ah! Ruby wipes the blood off her forehead. Tom didn't see. Knock on the glass, press your head against the glass, show that you are not well. No, Tom can't know. Tom, please turn the dial to the bottom symbol. Ruby gets Tom's attention, then gets him to switch the dial to the bottom long enough for her to open the small slot in the wall and retrieve the fourth paper scrap. She signals Tom, and he switches it back in, opening the Z-hatch. Ruby returns to the dummy room. Tom begins to apologize for his earlier rash action. Ruby quickly dismisses it. It's fine, don't worry about it. Ask Tom to return dial to North symbol. Get out. Have Tom plug in keypad. Ruby reopens the Z-hatch. Tom returns through it to the other side and plugs in the extendable power cord from the digital lock upstairs. Ruby and Tom return to the top level and enter the code into the powered-up terminal. This is it. Not quite as planned. Tom and Ruby make a boring excursion back downstairs through the Z-hatch, unplug the cord, pull it back to the proper side, change the dial to the symbol in the water, then climb back upstairs. But it's very boring, so let's just skip all that and get to the good part. It's what Ruby would want. She doesn't mess around. Prepare to swing crowbar. Walk into the doorway. Tom and Ruby prepare themselves. There's no one on the other side. The monitor system appears to have been destroyed. Nothing to do now but use cross-peg on cross-shaped slot. Ruby finally inserts the cross-peg into the cross-shaped recess in the wall. The panel on the wall transforms before Ruby's eyes, folding open and revealing a small ladder of broad pegs leading up to a newly opened hatch in the ceiling. Climb up. Ruby and Tom climb up the new hatch in the ceiling. It is no mystery whose home this is. Red. Analyze object under the tent thing, then the bloody hole in the wall. Is a cereal box under Red's tent. On the wall, among endless scrawls of illegible, fevered writings, there's some sort of crude, arcane, circular diagram, and in the center, a relatively fresh bloodstain, probably from some time in the last few days. Looks like someone hit their head here, very hard. Open cereal box. There is a very sugary cereal inside, but there's very little left. Something rattles inside the box, which promises a prize inside. Something falls to the floor amid Red's fevered writings from the cereal box. Are these teeth? Examine them to determine their true nature. They're teeth, all right. Ruby pockets the handful of teeth. Tom explains he was trapped behind this door. Red let him out, so Red must be in there now. The door is locked, but Red is on the other side. He might let them in, Tom suggests. After all, he let Tom out. Knock on the door. Tom knocks. Red's voice comes from the other side, raspy and strangely excited. Hold on now, friends. Red can't let just anyone through the door. You have to prove your family, part of Red's special family. Say, ask the question, storekeeper. I'm not afraid. If you want to prove you're part of Red's very special family, you'll have to solve the riddle for me. I watch, I tear, I devour, and bleed. All these fall as liquid to feed. Now, why don't you go bring good old Red the answer? Prove you're part of Red's special family. The answer is an eye. Wrong. Now scram. Well, nothing to do now but open up the do not open box. Tom decides it's time to get down to business. Warning labels are for chumps. Stand aside, ladies. It's time for manly physique to prove its worth and damn the consequences. There's a desiccated corpse inside the box. Its skin has become paper thin and yellowed, half transparent, clinging to its thin skeleton. It looks strangely familiar. Tom finds something in the box. Tom retrieves the bowl of clawed fingers. Turn on the sink. The faucet pours red liquid. Actually, Tom's not that surprised. There is no corpse, or Tom would have reacted. Ask him what's in the box. Tom says a bowl of severed fingers is certainly disgusting, but no worse than some of the other things they've both seen. Take the blood, eye, teeth, and fingers, stick them in the blender, and get the god-awful smoothie. Tom and Ruby head to the maintenance area, and after a gruesome blending, they whip up the god-awful smoothie. Take it to Red. The door is already open. Perhaps he knew Ruby and Tom were coming. Never catch me. Never catch me. Is he dead? He looks dead. Never gonna give you up. Never gonna let you down. End of chapter 4. To be continued. Okay, I'm gonna look through this real quick. See, this is fun. This is what I was expecting for the fan art. Very short performance of Red. And of course, there's a full NSFW. Wow, there's another one. Oh my god. People are way too horny. Ruby and Tom enter the door Tom was trapped in earlier. Well, it wasn't a nipple, but it was a butthole and, you know, vaginal canal. Ruby and Tom enter the room. So there's no nipples, so I mean, I guess that makes it safe for work. Make your peace with God. God is not present here. Stop waking me. Fay me. Blah, 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 blah. Ruby and Tom enter the door Tom was trapped in earlier. The walls are covered with graffiti. There are numerous items here, especially, including a shovel head, empty red spray can, Red's cane, and the remnants of another implement broken to create one of the two stakes. There's a metal box here. The pneumatic tube here is empty. There are doors to the north and to the south. Red is here. Red face is grotesquely deformed with an impossibly huge grin. Red is impaled through the back of his neck and through the right side of the skull by large stakes. The old bunhole. Red is covered in blood, not moving. Red's dead, baby. Open the metal box. Tom examines the metal box. Red left. It appears unlocked, so he opens it. Ruby doesn't particularly want to disturb Red's body, let alone pull out thick wooden stakes jammed through his gray matter. Look at screen window. The screen is just static. Ruby examines the items. There's a metal tool head that looks like it broke off one of the two stakes, but it doesn't appear useful in its current broken state. Tom opens the box. There's a note. To, Spade? From Red? Tom also notices a coin in the pile of stuff under the note. Ruby takes the cane and shovel head, but leaves the empty spray can and the metal tool head, as both appear unhelpful in their current state. Read note. The door to the north opens. A very large figure appears in the doorway. Ruby gets a very distinct impression that this individual is not friendly. Ruby does a barrel roll. Tom is distracted by the note. He reads it. Try and catch me now. Tom discards the note as he finishes reading. There is something under the note. Suddenly, a flash of memory returns to Ruby. The figure does not seem friendly. She remembers the figure. The figure is the one who put her in the locker. Call Tom, run out of room at high speed. Ruby doesn't see the bomb. Tom reacts quickly and runs from the room. He grabs Ruby and quickly carries her along. Tom runs as fast as his tired legs will carry him. Tom leaps from the room just as a huge, poorly rendered explosion erupts from behind them. The explosion blasts through the air above them, filling the room with heat. Ruby and Tom appear unharmed. The building around them still shudders from the explosion, but it appears the imminent danger is gone. The room to the north appears to have been filled with debris. It is now inaccessible. Let's consider the strength of the bomb. Has this perhaps altered our other surroundings? The explosion seems quite localized. The door to the north is inaccessible. And most likely the room the explosion took place in is all but obliterated, but it seems most of the other rooms are unaffected. The area as a whole does not seem to have any particularly strong reaction. Thank the guy, too. Say something. Ruby thanks Tom for saving her life again. Tom blushes slightly. He says it's what anyone would have done in that situation. Would have been nice to have the coin back, since we lost our spare one. But why Red needed it anyway. It would appear Red used the 2 coins as some kind of makeshift contacts for his homemade bomb. The area as a whole does not seem to have any particularly strong reaction. Scratch that. The lights in the room suddenly go out. Look at the tiny light outline. There seems to be a doorway hidden in the wall. A light comes through a crack from the other side. Perhaps the door was jarred loose in the explosion. Weapons out and listen. The air is deathly silent after the near-deafening explosion. Ruby and Tom draw the scalpel and crowbar, respectively. We should ask Tom if he recognized the Birdman, see if he has any experience with him, and see if Ruby can remember anything more herself. Ruby's drawing a blank beyond the image of being put in the metal cell by the figure. Tom says he recognizes them. It's the same figure that dragged him away to the room where he was suffering from arsenic poisoning. It'd be good to see how the other rooms change from the blast too. A preliminary examination of the room suggests that there has been no extraneous damage, but the lights seem to have been off in most rooms. Go to dummy room. There doesn't appear to be any damage here either. Ah, that's why you didn't remember that room, because it just fucking explodes. The two red lights are... Tom examines the glowing eyes of the dummy. He can't tell what's causing the light. Ruby gets scared and backs away from the dummy. Ruby gets get a grip and stay the fuck away from that box. Ruby can't resist. She looks in the box. The box is empty. Try poking the red eyes with a scalpel. Tom uses the sharp end of the crowbar instead and jabs on the eyes. It makes a squishy sound. Get out now. Tom and Ruby decide to quickly vacate the room. They head back upstairs. Open door. Tom grabs his crowbar and sets to work opening the door. It's stuck fast, but nothing a little manly physique can't handle. The door unceremoniously falls off its hinges and reveals a bright room beyond. Oh, Ruby and Tom check the room for obvious dangers. Take a moment to let their eyes adjust and then enter. There's a door to the west. The door to the north seems to lead to the room where Red's body was just found. It is inaccessible due to debris. Examine the room. Tom grabs the booze on the table to regain strength. Tom and Ruby inspect the room. There's a bottle of champagne on the table. Tom takes it. There's a note on the other table. It's a hot water cooler. Ruby will inspect it in just a moment. On the north wall is the doorway to the room the bomb went off in. The heavy door has been blown to pieces but seems to protect the room rather than well from the blast. The doorway is marked holding by a sign above it. There's a water cooler here. Besides the cooler, there's a set of metal shutters which are wrapped shut at the base with barbed wire. Drink the water. Strangely, neither Tom nor Ruby is very thirsty. Examine the hole below the vents for treasure. Arr. There appears to be something in the back of the hole, but it's wedged and they're good. Ruby can't get it out with her bare hands. She needs some kind of precise implement to grab it. Examine note. Ruby examines the note. It appears to be some kind of official document. Much of the text has been blotted out with a marker. This note, it's about Ruby. Click and drag to read at your own pace. Subject, Ruby. Gender, female. Next of kin, none. Status, medically viable. Birth, cell number 7. Recommendation, Ruby's blank makes her an ideal subject. She has no other injuries or medical conditions to speak of. She'll be blank until proper treatment can be discerned. It should be noted that in an emergency, blank, no family. Willingly signed onto program blank. Test results pending. Blank, 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 blank. Great care must be taken to avoid injury during treatment. Blank, blank, blank. Has been forewarned of the potential risks and received proper education on the dangers of blank treatment. Has never responded to blank treatment before. Blank. Deceased. Tell Tom. No, Tom mustn't know. Tom can't see this. Ruby hides the note in her pocket. Get that object using either the crowbar or the cane. It won't work. The hole narrows at the end and whatever's in there is wedged. It would need to be pulled out and neither the cane or the crowbar can grab. Tom offers to open the bottle of champagne with Ruby. Drink he found is not amused by Tom's shenanigans. This place is serious business. Tell him that he can open it after they escape. Tom agrees. He was just trying to be upbeat. The champagne will taste all the better when they're out of here. Ruby inspects the objects on the wall. She finds on the shelf 2 walkie-talkies. Both Tom and Ruby take one. Players gain ability to direct Ruby or Tom. The metal shutters are bound tight with a coiled barbed wire. No amount of force from the crowbar will rip them free, as they can't be untied or unwound, not with bare hands at least. The door to the north leading to the bombed-out room is completely blocked out with debris. Even Tom's manly physique won't be able to clear a path. The stained wooden door to the west is locked. It appears to have a lock which is linked to the adjacent card reader. Smash it down. Fuck the card key. The card key locked wooden door is no match for Tom and his crowbar. Take that, logical progression of puzzles! The door turns to splinters. A spiral staircase leads upwards. Have Ruby scold Tom for such harsh actions. Actually, she's pretty impressed. Ruby compliments Tom for his harsh actions. Tom seems pleased. Yell up the stairs. There's light coming from upstairs, but after Ruby calls, there's no response. Tom shivers warmly as an after effect of his rush of manliness. Maybe he set a new frequency for walkie-talkies. Clever idea. Tom and Ruby set a new frequency together to avoid being listened in on. Wasn't there an entrance next to Red's hideout? The room with the Red's hideout and the monitors is blocked by a collapse of debris. Both that room and the room with the bomb are inaccessible, at least for now. The consensus seems to either go upstairs or go to the boarded up hole in the other room. Who should go where? Remember, now that they have walkie-talkies, they can split up and work faster while staying in touch. Tom, crowbar to the boards. Ruby, take the stairs. With the walkie-talkies in hands, the two split up. While Tom goes off to pry up the boards, Ruby heads upstairs. Because the staircase curved around, the new room is directly above the room Ruby and Tom were just in. Look at the fetus thing. We're reading! Also, I'll be right back. Okay. We are reading a spooky comic. Catch my breath here while I eat a little. But yeah, this is definitely interesting. I'm digging it. Reminds me a lot of the other comic, except I like the spookier twist on it. I'm trying to think of something that would entertain us for the 2 minutes that I'm eating, but I don't know if I can think of anything other than just watching a YouTube video, but that feels kind of wrong. Um, um, well, I was with the dream theory for a little bit, but then I'm imagining that she has some kind of psychosis. But yeah, I don't really know why the treatment that you would have would be this. Because I guess it would make sense if it was some kind of puzzle that she's like trying to escape from her own mind, but I mean, they took out Tom's eye, so that's, you know, 'cause everything else could be staged to a level. Do people watch like TikToks on stream? I don't know if that's something that is a good way to entertain someone. Just for future reference, I'm almost done eating this. I just don't want to just steal someone's content. Fair enough. Yeah, let me see if there's anything safe for work on Tumblr about Ruby Quest. This all looks fairly safe for work. All right, I suppose spoilers. Okay, never mind on that. You could look at some of my likes on Tumblr. I'm Mr. Spine Twister. I'm Mr. Curves. I'm Mr. Scoliosis. I'm Mr. Sitting Earths. Stop loading for a reason? There we go. Oh, I'm Mr. Hot Racer. I'm Mr. Daze. I'm Mr. Low Blood Pressure. I'm Mr. Going to Faint. I'm the Highwayman. This is really cute. Oh. Fossils of a turtle the size of the car have been unearthed in South America. Carlos for scale. I don't know what it is about this image, but it cracks me up that he's holding a cigarette for Epona. Like, that horse be smoking. Got some Silent Hill 2 screenshots, horror aesthetic. Pink mantis. What a fucked up creature. Look at these horns. I'm Mr. Snow Miser. I'm Mr. Ice to do to do. Why does it have such a skinny beak, though? His beak is skinny due to the ravages of serious drug abuse. Fuck, it can happen to anyone, not even once. Yeah, he's a quack addict. It's a hell of a nose, man. Hell of a nose. Big old worm. Okay. Dog in the mud. Mountain Dew, Baja Blastogen. We'll end on that one for the Tumblr stuff, but this is one of the funniest things that I've ever seen. I mean, the amount of editing, amount of Photoshop. Like, that's so fucking funny. I mean, you only take a little bit of estrogen at a time. Me slamming down 3 estrogen bottles in 2 days. 2 days, I meant 2 minutes. Oh, that bracelet just broke. Well, that's too bad. My tiny little balls. Alright. Just gotta shove those over to the side. My balls dropped. Okay, back to reading. Look at the fetus thing. There's a fancy glass display case here. Inside is a strange statue of polished, smooth green stone. It resembles some kind of almost fetal creature. It's very unsettling. Inside the glass display case, there's also what appears to be a severed finger. Tell Tom what you see and have him report back to you once he opens the boarded up hole. Did I just try to skip this? There we go. Ruby reports her findings to Tom, who acknowledges them with concern. He tells Ruby to be careful. Ruby promises. Describe what's at the far end of the room, please. A door? A dispenser of sorts? Ruby examines the room. There is a ladder leading up with a sealed metal hatch at the top and on visible means of opening it. That's supposed to be no. There are two doors to the north, both with a symbol above them. There's a framed picture on the wall with some sort of illegible archaic writing on it. To the east, there's a heavily reinforced metal door with an inset card reader. Warning, please do not tamper with case. Security system will activate. An alarm will sound. Please use card. There are two plaques in the display case. The top one is illegible due to blood and rust. The second appears to be a request or a warning label. A key card slot is set just underneath the second plaque. Open the door without the blood and the feeling of screamingly in imminent doom. The door on the right is unlocked. It opens into a small closet. On the north wall is a large glass front installment, like a vending machine, filled with a manner of pills and medicinal vials. There are two shelves here. On one shelf is a high-tech first aid kit. On the shelf above it is a pressurized oxygen tank with an oxygen mask attached. Ruby takes both items and adds them to her growing inventory. The first aid kit has a fingerprint lock on it. How high-tech? Maybe we see what Tom is doing. Tom is making his way to the boards. This room is very strange. Experiment time. Tom begins breaking off the planks. He tosses one into the pit. It doesn't come back. Ruby, use spade on vending machine to break glass. Examine content. The glass in the vending machine device is too sturdy to be broken like that. Apparently whoever designed it expected that to happen. Is that a hole in the wall I spy? There is a small hole in the wall of the closet. I gotta go with this. Figuring out how the pit works is just one big headache, and I don't see any benefit. Just pry the wood away and check it out. Tom finishes opening the hole down. There is a distant light from the other end. Attempt to bump the vending machine. Have you really never used a vending machine before? That won't work. Poke cane into hole. Great, it's stuck. Go through the hole. Tom arrives at the other end of the hatch. Tom feels strangely turned around. Eyes. Also examine fucking everything. Radio Ruby about this development post-haste. Tom radios Ruby. Ruby hears his transmission, but there's some sort of strange echo. Perhaps he's nearby. Examine everything. You can take a wild guess at what dozens of people wanted Tom to do with that hole. Yeah. There's a medical diagram on the wall above a stained medical examination table. On a small surface next to it is an anatomical eye model. Some sort of diagram is on the west wall. To the south, there's a locked door. There are some papers on the exam table. There's also a set of medical tools lying on the table. Tom, check the object in the upper left corner of the room. It appears to be a camera. Ruby, check third eye. See if it feels like it's still there. It hurts. Tom, help Ruby free the cane. Ruby and Tom realize they're somehow on opposite sides of the same wall. Work together to free the cane. Tom inspects the anatomical eye model. It's just a plastic sandy model of an eyeball, like the kind they have in medical schools. However, when Tom picks it up, he finds a single coin underneath the base, which he then pockets. The diagram in the back is that of an eye with some sort of strange script annotating it. It seems very archaic. Tom picks up the papers on the exam table. Accident report. On October 29th, after 5 months of blank testing procedures and exams, we have suffered another setback to the project. Test subject number 7, aka Ruby, was the victim of a fatal accident. Ruby blank suffered a blank as well as a severe fracture of the occipital bone. These injuries led to a massive internal bleeding. Despite the best efforts of Spade, she blank and died. It is believed that her blindness may have contributed to the accident. Ruby's body will be stored in cell number 7 as per blank. It should be noted that this accident, I think, soon after the death of subject 1, Stitches, that any possibility for blank. Give coin to Ruby. Use coin on vending machine. Get the damn key already. No, Ruby must not know. Is it just me or does it look like the injury that killed her is where the third eye is now? There's too much to take in right now. Tom hastily pockets the letter and the photo. There will be time to sort this out later. Tom shakily passes the coin to Ruby through the wall. Thankfully, she can't see him like this. Ruby uses the vending machine and the coin to retrieve the gold key somehow stashed in there. Ruby notices the door from the room outside to the medical room Tom is in now is locked. Perhaps this is the key. Leave closet, unlocked medical room. Ruby can't open the door from here, even if this is the correct key. The doorknob and lock on the side are stuffed and tightly wrapped with what appears to be hair. Ruby, re-enter closet. Give key to Tom to unlock. Tom is manly enough to beat hair. Ruby slips the key through the hole in the wall. It promptly falls down the shaft. Ruby hears footsteps coming from outside the closet. Tom, you must retrieve the key. Tom goes down the shaft to fetch the key. The footsteps are still coming from just outside the closet. It's no use hiding. Have Ruby prepare the scalpel and confront someone outside. That way she may at least get a surprise round or something. Oh, well, there you go. There you go, Field Planet. Someone's listening. A figure appears in the doorway. Oh. It's Tom Nook. Ruby is so confused. Ruby demands to know who the figure is. Her voice is shaking, but she tries to sound confident. She recognizes that face. She's seen it twice before. She just didn't realize it was the same one until now. Very carefully tried to talk to him. Ask him what his name is. Stitches. Stitches recoils slightly. His sewn-up head wound head begins to bleed. He staggers uneasily backwards, glancing at Ruby, confused. How do I know you? He shrieks in a hoarse, rattling pitch. Ruby, that's your name. It says so in the papers. Ruby's papers don't mention Stitches at all. She's never heard the name Stitches before. This creature shrieked it at her. Click the broadcast button on the walkie behind your back, twice quickly. It'll give 2 sharp static cracks on Tom's, and I hope he gets the idea. Tom receives 2 bursts of static as he picks up the key. Something very strange is happening in this room. Stitches pauses momentarily. His expression changes and his eyes widen as he stares at his own hand. Ruby should tell her name. Ruby tells Stitches her name. Stitches freezes. Again he stutters, How do I know you? He appears to prepare an attack, then suddenly turns and flees from the closet, wailing a rattling moan. Stay away from me, he shrieks. I'll only hurt you. With that, Stitches is gone. Tom hears the screaming and rushes back, key in hand. Go after Stitches. Ruby nearly had a heart attack. She's not sure she could go after Stitches right now even if she wanted to, and she's not sure she wants to. Fuck that shit. Tom unlocks the door. Wait, read the diagram on the wall first. Tom examines the diagram on the wall. Research and Diagnostically 186, the metal blank. Surface access, headquarters, blah, blah, blah. Pre-construction, artists, Pendering and Murdoch. Clean up that blood. Unfortunately, it's soaked in the old print rather than simply hanging around on the outside of it. Tom unlocks the door. Tom and Ruby meet up again in the hall. Tom makes sure Ruby is okay. He reassures her things will be all right. Ruby and Tom speak briefly. Tom explains the growing rift in the lower level. Ruby tells Tom about Stitches. Tom reacts strangely to that name. When pressed, he explains he read it in a medical document. Stitches was officially recorded as dead. Okay, ironic statement time. Show your shock at the news, but he can't have said that. The dead don't just walk around, blah, blah, blah. Both go inside the door that they are next to. The reinforced door is locked to the magnetic keycard strip. Something is beeping inside the first aid kit. The closer Ruby gets to the keycard slot, the louder it gets. Now that you're at it, talk without BS already. This is it. After that encounter with Stitches, Ruby knows she and Tom have to be 100% on the level. She can't keep it a secret anymore. She and Tom sit down by the door and she tells him everything. The documents about her own involvement in the study, labeling her deceased, the visions of her own corpse, the injury she sustained from the abomination in the maintenance room, her encounters with Red, even her third eye. She spills it. She spills it all. She tells him everything. Tom says as long as they're sharing secrets, I was a spy all along. There's something Ruby should know about too. Oh, there's some hands. As unsettling it is to realize each other's bizarre mutations, Ruby and Tom find a strange comfort in knowing they're both in this together now. If nothing else, they no longer have to fear each other or hide secrets. Mario. There we go. Ruby, open the beeping medical kit with a severed finger. The first aid kit beeps louder whenever Ruby gets closer to the keycard slot for the fitted on the big reinforced door, but the first aid kit is locked with the fingerprint scanner. You have Tom and Ruby try their own fingers, all of them on the kit scanner. None of their 28 combined fingers in Thumb's work. Regroup in a safer room. What items do we have? Tom and Ruby return downstairs and compare inventories. Use medical tools on hole. Tom uses some forceps to reach deep into the hole in the wall and retrieves yet another access card. Can Ruby use her dormant MacGyver powers to combine the spade and the cane into a more deadly weapon? Ruby wedges the cane into a shovel head to create a bludgeoningly cane shovel. There appears to be something sticking partway out from behind Mr. Water Cooler. Tom is about eye level to it, so he should look, as Ruby's busy staring at his rear. Tom sees something behind the water cooler. Tom retrieves Red's hand. It must have been blown here after the explosion. So which will it be? Do they go together to the hand scanner downstairs with Red's hand, or do they go together to the display case upstairs? Or do they split up and do them both at the same time? Ruby and Tom descend to the lower levels to find that power and lighting has returned. Tom gives Ruby's red hand, and she presses it to the scanner. It beeps slightly, and a small light turns green. Ruby Quest. User login red. Processing data, verifying. Video playback activated, October 29th. Some kind of video feed begins playing. Oh, there's Red, about to smack her over the head, beats her down, do not open. And the spade guy comes, opens it, the video ends. It's okay to cry, Ruby. Your tears will have to wait. End of chapter 5, to be continued. Oh, this person says they're ready to have Tom die. Interesting. Oh yeah, let me see. Oh wait, no, that's not what I was looking for. Okay. Oh yeah, this is the one where I'll see if there's anything interesting. No actual porn. This is the closest thing we see to nipples. So, you know, there you go. Let us continue. The large figure stands in the doorway, blocking Tom and Ruby's exit. Attempt to talk with Ace. Ask what he wants. The figure enters the room, squeezing through the doorway. Ruby attempts to greet the figure, asking about its intentions, its identity. The figure does not speak. Tom, shove dummy on wheels into Ace. The dummy is bolted down on a pivot. Give Ace Red's hand. Ruby offers the dismembered hand. The figure doesn't seem to want it. The figure approaches and reaches for Ruby. Pull Ruby back. Enter defensive stance. Ruby, attempt to dodge it. Brandish scalpel. Ruby and Tom are not going without a fight. Evade as much as possible. Go for the legs and get the hell out ASAP. The figure lunges at Ruby, who ducks out of the way of its massive arms. Tom dodges around. Try to crowbar his knees. Ruby bolts from the room while Tom drives a sharp end of the crowbar into the figure's leg. Get out of there now, Tom. Tom runs. The giant figure seems unfazed. Flee through the Z-hatch. Tom follows Ruby to the Z-hatch. The figure is right behind him. Ruby helps Tom as he dives through the hatch. It's not like that thing's going to come through in the very first second. There's a horrible sound of wrenching metal. Large white hands are tearing the Z-hatch open. Climb pipe. Ruby easily clambers up the pipe with her girlish figure. Tom falls below her. Tom and Ruby ascend their narrow pipe, descendingly clinging to the rusty walls. Tom and Ruby emerge from the pipe after a long and winding climb. They feel very turned around. They emerge into a new place that they have never seen before. Look at the monitor. A large shadowy face stares back. Asks the face to identify itself. Ruby asks the face who it is. The screen goes to static. Ruby and Tom move to explore the room. The room is full of broken science equipment, including shattered beakers and tubes, a broken table in the southeast corner. What will the goons do? Like back in the day, you just call them perverts. I feel like pervert hasn't... I think pervert needs to come back around. I think we're using too much like doublespeak when it comes to terminology on the internet. Like, hey man, if you're jerking off for 7 hours a day and you're like looking at sissy hypno whatever, you're a pervert. Like, you're not a gooner, you're a pervert. And you need to calm down. trying to think of an even more derogatory term than pervert, but, you know, that's what comes to mind. Like, they need to be shamed a little bit. Bring back perverts. Make gooners perverts again. So stupid. This room is full of broken science equipment. I already said the room smells of chemical vapors. Tom can see something vaguely through the steel vent, but it's too sturdy to bash down by brute force. There are scraps and tatters of cloth at Tom's feet. They look like the remnants of a lab coat. By a very large cabinet, which is locked with a chain and padlock, Ruby finds a severed foot on the ground with minimal blood. The door has no visible lock, but is wired to the monitor. Ruby pockets the heavy gloves she finds on the floor. Also, of obvious note in the room is the access hatch leading down, which is secured in place with some sort of staff. Take staff. Ruby takes the odd staff. It's made of some kind of green-stained wood. What's that at the top of the cabinet? Tom climbs up and takes the empty syringe. Attempt to pick cabinet lock with scalpel. Don't be silly. Neither Tom nor Ruby is crafty enough to know how to pick locks. Tom removes the medical poster on the wall and discovers a small recess with a sheaf of papers inside. He takes the papers and prepares to read them. Ruby examines the vent. There are tiny warnings that indicate it is used to channel gaseous chemicals and that gas masks should be used when operating the chemical pump, which is nowhere to be found. While Tom prepares to read the note, Ruby looks through the hatch to the familiar lower level. Red's Journal, October 3rd. Traditional treatments show no progress. Yesterday, subject number 5, a.k.a. Tom, has crippled his hands in an accident involving the accidental operation of the Z-hatch in the newly excavated brig room. If these events continue, our situation will deteriorate further. F has begun to reconsider my proposal of experimental treatment if things do not improve. I will speak to the board. At this point, everyone is desperate for a solution. I mean, that's obviously why he kept Plasmaniac there. He's like, oh, you too? You're also into weird sissy hypno whatever? They just start making out. Okay. Red's Journal, October 7th. Today, when I was visiting some subjects in the patient break room, I could swear, sissy hypno priest. Sissy hypno priest. Boom, 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 boom. I could swear I heard whispered voices. This is the second time. F says the board has approved my recommended treatments. They begin immediately. Tom continues reading, sharing his findings with Ruby. And things were going so well. What happened today changes everything. Everything that happened since the new treatment started. I had hoped the death of patient number 1 could be overlooked. That is no longer an option. I know what must be done. I do not welcome it. Tom is almost out of pages. 29th. The deed is done. May God forgive me. Go down hatch. Use the access card on case. Tom and Ruby uneasily put away the notes, unsure quite what to make of them, especially the last 2 entries. They head down the hatch to the hallway below. Tom prepares to use the access card he got from the hole in the wall below. As Tom feeds the access card into the slot, the glass cover on the display stand descends, revealing the statuette and the severed finger. Use finger on medical box thingy. Ruby gives Tom the first aid kit, which Tom unlocks with the severed finger. He empties it for its contents, which turn out to be a pair of wire cutters, a roll of gauze, and a strange disc of green dyed wood. It looks like it was broken off of something. Combine the disc with the staff. Ruby fits the 2 pieces of greenish wood together into an odd staff. Tom, swipe the card on the case again to close it and shut away that fetus statue. Tom reseals the display case. Wrap up Tom's eye with the gauze if he's willing. Ruby uses the gauze and tattered cloth to bandage Tom's eye. Cut the barbed wire downstairs with the wire cutters. Tom and Ruby go back downstairs, wary of any potential aggressors. Tom uses the wire cutters on the barbed wire, which is tangled so tightly around the shutters. Behind the metal shutters is some kind of cabinet shelf for cafeteria food. What's inside is not food. Oh god, Sven. Is that Sven? Use wire cutters to take the card from her maw. Tom carefully removes the card from the jaws of the severed head. Tom pockets the high-clearance access card. The large figure appears in the doorway again. He appears armed. Run upstairs, use the card on reader at the high-security door. Tom runs to use the high-clearance access card on the door. Ruby and Tom take this opportunity to mentally review their respective inventories. The large figure appears in the doorway. Tom is still opening the door. The first aid kit. We emptied it. Toss it at the glass case as we leave. Ruby hurls the empty case as Tom finally gets the door open and rushes through. The empty first aid kit smashes the glass on the security-protected display case. Ruby rushes through the door after Tom as a lethal trap springs from the mechanical guts of the display case. Ruby and Tom quickly shut the door behind them and observe the new room. Examine jar. Examine note on the wall. Ruby inspects the jar. Inside, some sort of very strange fleshy growth is suspended in some kind of solution. It is covered in what looks like veins and knotted muscles. Ugh. Tom stops over a chasm in the floor to approach the clipboard hanging on the wall. Look down what lies below. It appeared to be the room Ruby started in when she first climbed out of her locker. Notice, November 23rd. Subject 6 has been moved to isolated containment in Upper Lab B due to increasingly unpredictable and violent behavior. Please notify if you need to make contact with Subject B. Or 6. All non-medical staff is advised to avoid Lab B at all costs. Highest priority hazard. Tom grabs a clipboard and reads for yet another expository cutscene. Attention all staff attending subject cells. Following the events of November 1st, Diagnostic Technician Red will be assigned to Cell 6. Please note that Subject 6 has already been relocated to the brig for holding. The staff would also like to announce that until further notice, Spade will be referred to on these documents as question mark. The Action Committee is still deciding whether it is more economic to change his name or assign the Subject Cells Committee a font capable of properly producing that stupid symbol. In only 2 pages. Tom gets a feeling there was some interdepartmental feuding going on here. Tom tries locker number 5, but the lock, while busted, is jammed. It'll take a bit of force to rip open. Ruby, meanwhile, examines the clipboard after Tom. First, check the goddamn wiring. Tom and Ruby consult each other on the wiring, but given the construction of the massive piece of machinery, they assume the wires and tubes are for normal operation. It does not appear booby-trapped as far as they can tell. Someone send for the bludgeony cane shovel. Ruby lends Tom her bludgeony cane shovel. Tom promises to give it right back. Ruby, step away from the chasm. Something's going to grab your ankles. Ruby retreats a safe distance from the hole. Tom springs the door open with a loud metallic rattle. Locker number 5 is empty. Don't trust 7. However, something is scrawled onto the door in Tom's handwriting. Tom closes the locker quickly. Ruby asks if Tom found anything useful inside. She also wants to try opening locker number 6 with a cane device. Ruby opens cell 6 by setting the odd staff into the carved recess on the front of it. Oh, look at the sparkly thing. Inside, there is a large electrical switch labeled 2. Flip switch. Ruby flips the switch, but nothing seems to happen. Meanwhile, Tom examines the button on the wall. Should Tom push the shiny button? I wonder what the players will have to say. Push the button after Ruby is away from the lockers. Tom waits for Ruby to step away from the cells before pressing the button. A panel opens the wall, revealing a pneumatic tube. A severed hand falls out of the pneumatic tube. What the? I got nothing. Take hand back to scanner. Tom grabs the severed hand. Might as well get going. This could be bad. Oh, the body's gone. So far, so good. Tom and Ruby return to the room with the hand scanner. Oh, the thing's gone. Ugh, yikes. That's actually spooky. Use hand to watch cutscene. Tom scans the severed hand and begins the cutscene as video playback initializes. It's Red and the guy. There's Ruby. Oh, Ruby comes and kills Red. Or not kills, scars up his face. It appears there's more than one video queued up. Here's Ruby and Red. Or not Red, Ruby and Tom. Oh, they're kissing. What was the last one? Did he grab a knife? She grab a knife? Oh, yep, she killed Tom. Tom backs away, clutching the cane shovel he forgot to return. He seems angry. He also seems very scared. End of chapter 6. Okay, let's look at the fan art. I'll see if there's anything. There's nipples that are taped over, so that doesn't count. The nipples that are taped over. No nipples there. No nipples there. No nipples there. No nipples. Oh, there's a dick. Oh, there's 2 nipples. Okay, there's 2. And then there's 2 dicks. So 2 ticks, 2 ticks, 2 dicks, 2 nipples. I mean, I've seen. There's that one guy that Switch follows that that I also followed. I don't know if he streams anymore. I don't know if I ever see him on, but he would always do it with just his shirt off, which I guess you can just do. I mean, there's no reason that I even need. Who is that guy? He played a lot of Ark Survival. He kind of looked a little bit like Jack Black. You're the one who told me to follow him. We rated him because you followed him. So, yeah, Boston Chris Gaming. Yeah, there you go. Okay, well, there you go. I don't think I followed him. I don't see him pop up at all. But yeah, he always had his, or at least the one time that I popped in, he had his shirt completely off. So I don't think there's any reason that a man can't be shirtless on a Twitch stream. I've never done it, but you know. I don't know, because yeah, the man nipples, you know, there's no reason that I couldn't show the man nipple, but you know, the button actually popped off when I did that. I do feel like that would give Switch maybe a little too much motivation if I showed off my nipples. Let's keep going. Tom is scared and angry. Ruby fumbles for an explanation. We have to pop buttons. Ruby fumbles for an explanation, an apology, anything. She assures Tom she would never hurt him. There's nothing wrong with her, and if there was, she's better now. She doesn't want to hurt him. Say that to show your goodwill that you will be placing the scalpel on the ground and stepping away from it. Do so. After this, ask Tom what he wants. Ruby places the scalpel on the ground as a show of good faith. She nervously continues to try to explain, but her voice is shaking. Ruby backs away slowly. Tom seems somewhat placated, but he is still in a panic. He orders Ruby to leave the room. Ruby offers that if anything should happen, she'll have her walkie-talkie. Ruby exits the room, leaving Tom alone for the time being. Perhaps some space will help calm things down. She doesn't know what to do next. Ruby's shaking. These recent events have unnerved her greatly. She has a pounding headache. Go to cafeteria, drown sorrows with water from the water cooler. Not knowing where else to go, Ruby heads to the cafeteria, looks around in a manly manner. Ruby tries to collect herself and surmises her situation as the most manly manner she could muster. Inventory check. Ruby is carrying a ball of twine, an oxygen tank with a mask, and heavy rubber gloves. Sit down and try to calm down and think. Ruby tries to gather her thoughts and calm down. It won't do to go running around willy-nilly. Where should she go next? She still has to do something. She can't just give up. Bad insanity. Where Goathead is at. Open third eye. There's no hiding it anymore. Ruby can feel the third eye throbbing in her head, eager to make itself known. See if you can find some of that barbed wire that was covering the shutter earlier. Tap into Ruby's latent MacGyver abilities if there is, and equip the gloves, and wrap the wire around one of the gloves to make a prickly fist. If Ruby's on her own, she's going to need some defense. Ruby wraps the incredibly thick gloves with barbed wire to create the prickly fist. Head upstairs. Downstairs is Tom's territory now. Ruby heads upstairs. There might still be things to examine downstairs, but this is a good point. Tom does probably want his space. Examine room with your third eye, then check to see if a trap on the statue pedestal is fully disabled. Ruby can't tell if there are any traps remaining on the pedestal. Ruby opens her third eye and closes her others, surveying the room. Examining the painting that has Ruby scrawled on it in more detail. This must be what she saw. There's some strange, archaic-looking text in the painting, but Ruby can't decipher it. Use third eye on text. The text is still incomprehensible. But Ruby seems that there's something out of place behind it, something tied to her. There's nothing behind the painting, but Ruby's sure something's there. Use prickly fist to scrape away the fabric/paper on the plaque. Ruby tears back the parchment on the front of the frame. There appears to be a large group portrait hidden under there. For $1 a day. You know, I know people subscribe to, you know, I would assume that it's mostly gay men that subscribe to male OnlyFans, but like, I just don't know what kind of content that you put on there if you're like a straight cis guy. Like, you just, photos of you working out or whatever. Like, I can't imagine if you're doing solo content as a dude, if you are not gay, what you could possibly be doing. I know they're out there though. Ruby tears back the parchment on the front of the frame. There appears to be a large group portrait hidden under it. Take portrait and move on to locker room. They roam the land. That'd be pretty sick. You know, just do like, I don't know. My first thought was Bloodborne, but I don't know how you do Bloodborne in real life. Just take really cool photos and then just charge like $1 a month, OnlyFans, but it's just like photos of cool places you go to. Ruby rolls up the group portrait and moves on to the next room. Check wheel symbol with third eye. It hurts, it hurts, it hurts. Something from the back wall. It hurts. Use third eye on wheel symbol and painting from the room where Tom was killed. Ruby's third eye hurts very badly. Her head is throbbing. Perhaps overusing it is a bad idea. Radio Tom, ask him if he's up to talking yet. Ruby radios Tom. Tom says he's okay, he's exploring. He'll keep in touch. Ruby assures him she is fine too. Tom makes it clear he's still not in a very talkative mood. At least he was polite. Relax, then check all the lockers. Ruby checks the various lockers. Most of them are jammed shut, and locker number 5 is wedged on its hedges. It looks like it was shut too tightly. Ruby can't pull it open with her girlish figure. There's fresh blood on locker 2, however, and the locking mechanism seems to be open. Ruby considers whether to investigate. Punch the locker, then carefully open it. Ruby punches the locker to show it who's boss. Then she stands to one side and opens it. But it's empty, save for a small padlock key taped to the back wall. It looks very purposeful. Stick face through hole, B, ceiling, Ruby. Ruby peers down to the room below where she first woke up. Tom's bloodied crowbar is there. She must have missed it on her way to the cafeteria because it's lying in the pit in the center of the room. Obviously, it's no longer stuck in Ace's leg. Radio Tom and tell him you found his crowbar. TTYL, Kibai. Ruby contemplates keeping the crowbar should she need it, but instead radios Tom and lets him know where to find the crowbar. Ruby heads back towards the upstairs room she emerged from the pipe in. Oh, hell, look to the corner. Soft sobbing sounds are crying from the dark corner of the room. Crying. Ask Figure if they're okay. The figure continues to cry softly in the corner. Leave the room. Ruby gets a distinct feeling that there is something terribly wrong here and carefully, quietly leaves the figure be. Ruby continues upstairs and opens the tall locker with a padlock key. It would appear that the back of the locker has been removed, in a clever disguise of a hidden door located behind it. The door appears unlocked. Ruby enters the hidden room. The room is divided into 2 main sections by a partition wall with no door, leaving both sections separated but accessible. It appears to be similar to the examination room downstairs in some ways. An access hatch leading up is sealed with a rather large mechanism, which is linked to a wall panel. I mean, sometimes you just gotta leave people space to sob. I was watching a YouTube channel and they're like, we should build a crying room that's just like soundproof for work purposes. So you can just go in there and cry. And I was like, you know what? Honestly, it seems a little dystopian, but it might not be a bad idea. Workplaces should have crying rooms where it's like, you have a bad time, go in there, it's soundproofed, and you can just sob your heart out for a few minutes. Of course, a lot of people would probably try using it to masturbate, but that would be the one thing you'd have to watch out for. An access hatch leading up is sealed to the rather large mechanism, which is linked to a wall panel. On the west portion of the room, there's a medicine cabinet. Examine room with third eye. Ruby's third eye is still in pain. Check cabinet. Ruby tries to open the cabinet, but it refuses to budge. Sobbing for women, masturbating for men. The tiny lock on the side must be holding it closed. Jump back before that arm coming around the corner gets you. Someone's here? The haggard-looking man comes around the corner. Ruby keeps her weapon at the ready. The man holds his hand up in a gesture of surrender. He looks oddly relieved and sighs deeply. Ruby? Oh, thank God. The one-handed man introduces himself as Filbert. Punch Filbert. Ruby quickly gets over her initial surprise and makes the connection between Filbert's name and the F signed on numerous reports, as well as the severed hand she found earlier. She assaults Filbert with questions. Filbert begins to explain what he can. He says he's the chief doctor here. Ask him how he knows Ruby. Ruby was a patient of his. Ask him where his hand went. Filbert calmly explains he severed his hand by slamming it shut in the security transfer chute down in level 3. He had to in order to stop the spread of infection. What infection? Filbert nods. He explains that he was attacked and his hand was injured. He says he believes the infection is like any other localized spread. In order to stop it from contaminating his entire body, he had to perform an emergency amputation. Question him on what has happened here, what this place is, and why you can't remember this stuff. Why you can't remember anything? Isn't it obvious? Filbert asks. You're dead. Did I kill Tom? Filbert says he's afraid you did. He bled out after the attack you must have seen on the video. Then how am I moving? You're infected. Most everyone here has succumbed to the infection, except for me. Ruby, then why did you stumble over to me and say thank God? It's not important now. Ask him if he knows anything about Ace or if he knows that Red killed himself. Filbert explains that Ace is tasked duties as an orderly and a security guard. Filbert was his commanding superior. Filbert says he knows of Red's death. He finally did it, Filbert nods. Was I sane? Oh, I doubt it. Is there a cure? My dear, you are the cure. Filbert asks if you found a passcode yet. He needs to get to the top level. The only option now is escape. He plans to escape the entire facility. He wants to get out. What do you mean by that? Filbert turns suddenly angry and lays it all out. Ruby already has the cure. So does everyone else in this facility. It brought her sight. It made her well. She didn't even need to eat or drink. But when she died, she fucked it up. The cure was strong. It brought her back. And when she came back, she brought something with her. Filbert is the only one left untouched. He has to escape. He demands the passcode. Yell that you don't know it. Ruby is all but in shambles. She denies the accusations and tells Filbert she has no idea what the code to the surface is. Filbert says Ruby has to stay here now. She can't go to the surface. She can't escape. She's infected. She's bad. Filbert says to stay here while he gets his tools from the medicine cabinet. He says he's going to cut Ruby's badness out. Filbert is getting hostile now. Show him who's in charge here. Use fist on Filbert's face. Ruby slams Filbert in the face with her spiny fist, sending him staggering backwards. Ruby takes this opportunity to make her escape. Ruby runs to the next room. Filbert shouts after her, "Wait! I said wait!" Ruby slams the door behind her, holding it closed, but it won't lock. Close the cabinet and lock that. Ruby relocks the padlock door. Filbert appears on the monitor. He shouts angrily at Ruby. He says he's the only one clean. He's the only one who can escape. The others have damned themselves. He says Ace will get her. Ace won't listen to his orders anymore. He won't even listen to her, but he's still obedient. Filbert doesn't know who, but he knows he's still listening to someone. He says Ace will get Ruby. Flip off at him. Contact Tom. Ruby shoots the monitor of the bird and goes back to static. She radios Tom and tells him everything that just happened. Filbert, the infection of which even Filbert's account contradicts itself, Ace's obedience, and whoever she is. Tom tells Ruby to go on ahead. It's something he needs to check first, but he'll meet up with her again shortly. It sounds as though Tom is ready to try working together again. A different figure appears on the monitor. The face on the monitor nods, and the E-store, which is wired to the monitor, suddenly unlocks and swings open. Do you want something? The figure stares blankly. Tell him to call off Ace. The figure shudders once, as if involuntarily, then unexpectedly begins to speak in a rattling, hoarse voice, its pitch fluctuating unsteadily. "I can't," it says. "I'm sorry." The feed cuts out again. Sigh, give a shrug. Figures, just make sure Tom gets here, I guess, then go through the doorway. Ruby enters the newly opened door into a new room. Stitches is here. Wave at Stitches, remark about his lack of stitching, ask what kind of facial cream he used. Ruby makes polite conversation, pleased to see Stitches looking so well. He smiles at Ruby and waves back, glad to see she's okay. Ask him what he's been up to. Ruby shoves Stitches over the railing. Whoa! Stitches falls into the giant fans. What? What just happened? This is what Ruby meant to do. She meant to do it all. This is a flashback, isn't it? Ruby remembers now. It was horrible. She didn't mean to. I mean, as far as I know. Oh, okay. Now read the paper next to the door. October 20th. I take this opportunity to file a formal complaint on several issues, most notably against Chief Diagnostic Technician Red. After I performed the autopsy in Subject 1 following his fatal accident, I voiced my concern to Red that the nature of this incident did not seem accidental. The guide rails on the catwalk are more than sufficient to protect from falls, and Subject 1 was by no means new to the area. He successfully traversed the catwalk. God, I hope I forget him one day. The guide rails on the catwalk are more than sufficient to protect from falls, and Subject 1 was by no means new to the area. He successfully traversed the catwalk countless times, even when he was still blind, and it is my opinion that the only explanation for his fall is foul play. I believe Subject 1 was pushed. When I told Red this, he dismissed my concerns. Oh yeah, y'all as in you, Switch, and myself. I can only imagine that you made Plasmaniac cry at least one time. Further, I want to bring to the attention, Further, I want to bring to the attention of the administrators that Red has been ignoring the ordered rounds of medication for the staff. We have seen the power of this medication, and the administrators have ordered the entire population of this facility onto a weekly dosage. And yet, though this treatment was Red's idea to begin with, he refuses to take the very medication he prescribed to patients. Lastly, I've heard strange laughter and other voices coming from the lower levels in the middle of the night for over a month now. To whatever staff member or patient fancies himself a prankster, you've had your fun. Some of us have work to do. Ruby's hands are shaking. She picks up the dog-eared note from the paper folder on the left side of the door and reads it. Okay. Play music that's got words in it. November 1st, reappropriation of Lab B. As you are by now aware, at 6:45 this morning, Subject 1 Stitches has regained basic cardiovascular function. Lab B is being reappropriated specifically to this phenomenon until further notice. Has been moved to Lab B while it continues. It is unclear of this whether the extent of Subject number 1's physical state, but there is some since the activity was first noted. Too early to jump to power of the Red. Weather solution has dismissed. Ruby reads the clipboard by the door as well. Look behind the plant. Ruby goes to examine the plant. Tom enters the room and greets Ruby. Tell Tom everything. Ruby explains the situation to Tom. She even tells him about her flashbacks. Tom doesn't seem as phased as she thought. Beep your walkie-talkie to see if this is really Tom. Ruby discreetly presses the button on the walkie-talkie. Tom's radio crackles. Red's journal, November 1st. With my treatment, Stitches is best to death itself, and what horrors he brings. With him, I do not intend to discover. My aggression was in rain? Ruby is in vain. Ruby is dead, but there is no permanence. Despite my best efforts, she will not have peace. It's all over now. I was too late. I'm taking the coward's way out. I can still escape this nightmare before it begins. Thank God I did not take the medicine like the rest of the staff. Tom explains he found this note while digging through the rubble near Red's room. Collect yourself, then move to Lab B's door. The door is locked with a massive, very distinct padlock. Try to see if you can see anything through the windows on the door. There's nothing behind the plant and nothing in the pot but the plant and some soil. It seems to just be an ordinary plant. Tom doesn't see anything through the glass. It's too dark in there. Ruby looked through the window with third eye for a short moment, just long enough to see inside. Ruby looks inside Lab B. Ruby staggers backwards. Whatever is in there seems very distinctly unfriendly. The figure in the corner sobs quietly, weeping. Attempt to talk to it. Ruby's attempts at conversation go unheeded. The figure does not respond. Why are you crying? It's dark. Does Tom see the figure in the corner? Ruby asks Tom for confirmation. He confirms that he sees the same figure. It shudders in the corner, making a pain sound. The figure turns suddenly and the room is engulfed in blackness. It's so dark. Oh, there we go. Okay. Okay, I gotta make sure I don't show pornography on here. Nope, not much fan art. I'm not reading all these theories. The light fades from the room and darkness envelops Ruby and Tom. Pornography. It is a familiar and horrible kind of darkness. The unrelenting sound of moving water deafens their ears. Feel around, try to find the other. Ruby and Tom grope blindly in the choking blackness to try and find each other. The sound of water is all about them, drowning out their cries. Inspector the third eye. Ruby opens her third eye and a guiding vision appears. Through the sounds of water, she hears a faint voice whispering, calling her onwards. They actually feel any water? They can still breathe fine and stuff, right? The area is dry. They don't feel any water. Have both Tom and Ruby try and find the rail. Start walking. Ruby begins to follow the arrow. Tom continues searching for Ruby and finds the rail, following it. Ruby feels a set of stairs in the direction the arrow was pointing. Tom, while following the rail, swing your manly fist through the darkness. Tom swings his fist. Ruby feels something hit her foot. Try to contact each other with their radios. The sound of water is too loud to use the radios. Ruby, stop, you're on the rail. Ruby freezes. The sound of water begins to subside. The light suddenly returns in a crackling flash. Ruby, get down from here. You'll hurt yourself. Tom, save Ruby. Tom helps Ruby down from the railing quickly. The darkness seems to have passed, and the distant voice is gone. Ruby, close your eye before it starts hurting you and you faint. Ruby closes her third eye, and again the two of them consider the door to Lab B. Ruby has a very strong feeling that before this is all over, she'll have to go in there. Hug Tom. Tom politely explains he doesn't feel like hugging Ruby right now. Given the footage they watched together a short while ago, that hug didn't end particularly well. Maybe they just need some time to trust each other again. I see blood on one of the fan's blades. Inspect it. The blood on the fan is most likely a spot the cleaners missed after the accident Ruby made Stitches have in the fan. Crowbar plus lock. The lock is massive and sturdy. No way even Tom's manly physique could tear it down. Check the plant again. Ruby checks the plant, but it doesn't appear to be anything but a plant and some soil. Check on Filbert together. Bully some answers out of him. Ruby and Tom return to the previous room. However, something seems to have changed. Examine that thingy they're standing on. It's the same severed foot from before, and Tom is gross for stepping on it. Go inside, check out everything. Tom brings out the bludgeoning cane shovel, and the two of them enter the room, but it appears empty. Oh well, open those lockers. There's a patient stool in the southwest corner. It doesn't open. Against the north wall in what appears to be the examination portion of the room, there's some sort of metal footlocker overgrown with fleshy protuberances. It resists Tom's attempts to open it, and two long, fleshy growths seem to converge where the lock would normally be, reaching towards each other with a gap in between. The entire thing seems like an amalgamation of skin, muscle, and vein. Check behind the poster on the wall. The eye exam chart is bolted to the wall. It appears to be a permanent fixture. Check inventory. Ruby and Tom check their respective inventories. Inspect the hatch thoroughly. The keypad linked to the access hatch in the ceiling is a strange one. It has a digital lock and a swipe card slot and appears to be lacking power. Strangely, it is connected to the hatch with both an electric and apparently organic cord. The fleshy cord reaches from one terminal to the hatch as does an electrical wire. Crossing the electrical wire is a thing flapped with burnt flesh and ash, which appears to be leading to the set of contacts on the access card reader. It seems rather complex. Whatever the case, the burnt flesh appears to be evidence that the two cords have trouble working well together. Ruby asks Tom where the scalpel she left him with went. It could be used to cut the fleshy overgrown. Tom explains he had added the scalpel to his leather pouch of medical implements. Break open the cabinet with the bludgeoning cane shovel. One of the doctors probably had a tiny key to go with this lock. Tom's no doctor, but he's got the prescription for this medicine cabinet. After bashing the cabinet open, Tom finds a large jar of tranquilizer inside. Fills syringe with tranquilizer. Tom fills his syringe with liquid tranquilizer. He's got several doses worth in there now. Still, he considers how much good it would do against a behemoth like Ace should he show up again. Inject the gross with the tranquilizer. Tom and Ruby warily head back downstairs. Ruby removes the barbed wire from her rubber gloves and carefully removes the growth from the jar. Tom and Ruby return to the hall. Stitches is here. Say hello. Ready your weapons. Ruby's hands are full and she has nowhere to put the large fleshy growth. She says hi. Stitches groans hoarsely and growls in response. Stitches lunges forward. His intentions are clearly hostile. He lets loose a pain moan as he staggers at Ruby, claws held high. Wah! Kill me! Combo move, run into the next room, bait with Ruby, trip with Tom, syringe while he's down. Tom and Ruby prepare for an elaborate maneuver. Ruby trips Stitches with her unattractively long foot. As soon as he falls, Tom pins him down using the strength of the manly physique and injects a healthy dose of liquid tranquilizer into his neck. Tom keeps Stitches pinned until, after a very nerve-wracking minute or so, he finally goes unconscious. Loot Stitches. Stitches is carrying a tiny key labeled medicine cabinet in tiny letters. Tom decides to leave it with him. Put him in one of the lockers and close it then. If we're going to be hostile towards poor Stitches, the least we can do is keep it from wandering around the facility. Tom shoves Stitches into locker number 5 and slams the door closed hard enough to jam it on the hinges. It's not much, but it'll do for now. It should keep him safe, and he shouldn't be out for a while all the trank Tom used. Give Stitches the group picture before leaving to investigate the growth. Ruby slips the group portrait into a paper-thin gap in the locker's edge at the top. Stitches may appreciate it, perhaps? Tom and Ruby resume their original course of action and head back to the upstairs room. Oh, the thing's broken. Oh my god. Ruby places the fleshy growth from the jar into the gap between the other fleshy growths. Before Ruby's eyes, the fleshy growth grows together and coil into one another. The large fleshy mass Ruby placed onto the chest, now connected, begins to beat rhythmically, expanding and contracting with a soft, wet sound. A moment later, the lid of the locker opens up, not from the edge, but from the center, peeling itself open. From inside, Ruby retrieves a fleshy prototube, a bizarre organic item that somehow features an electrical contact panel on one end. Ruby, lick it. It tastes bad. Affix the keycard slot, attaching power and other connections carefully. Tom cuts away the burnt flesh, and Ruby plugs the fleshy prototube into the keypad's contact panel. It doesn't seem to do much by itself. Attach Nelby bits to the sockets on the organic cable. Connecting the fleshy prototube in that way would lay it over the charged electrical wire. That's probably how the last connection got burnt. Can you somehow use the gloves to insulate the wires and keep them from touching the flesh? Genius. Ruby wraps the cord in her rubber gloves and connects the fleshy prototube, leaving both cords intact and connected. The key panel lights up, awaiting a 4-digit number. Enter 0645. Ruby punches in the code, and the access card reader lights up. Now use the key card. Tom swipes the high access card that seems to have done the trick. The high security hatch on the ceiling recedes. The path upwards is open. Ruby and Tom ascend to the floor above. Staff wing 4. Crack open the security station door and try and estimate how large the room is. It's going to be bad if we have to deal with 20 guards, or worse, 20 mutated guards. Tom tries the security room door, but is locked with the security key card reader. Even Tom's high access card does no good here. Explore Ace's room. Ruby and Tom head to Ace's quarters. Tom politely goes first. Ace's quarters appear rather starkly furnished. Check Ace's bed. Something is very disorientating about this room. The bed appears much larger than Tom originally thought. Tom finds a spade key tucked safely under Ace's pillow. Ruby and Tom return to the hall. Filbert's room is securely locked, and the security room needs a security card. Even Tom's high access card doesn't work here. You go to the staff wings. Ruby opens the door to the other wings. Ruby closes the door. Ruby decides not to go that way. Make sure Tom saw what we saw. Tom says that if you saw a huge door lined with teeth leading into some sort of horrible abyss, then yes, he saw the same thing. Use the crowbar on Filbert's office door. Filbert's door is too sturdy to be bashed or pried open. Further, there is no answer from inside. HP check. Re-examine Tom's eye. Lack thereof. Ruby peels back the bandage on Tom's eye for a moment. Tom's wound seems to be doing well. It doesn't appear to be infected, and the earlier bleeding has stopped. He looks like he'll be fine. Okay, put the bandage back. Let's go to the lower levels. Ruby and Tom head down one level. Okay, we should refill that syringe with trank and keep an eye out for that access card. Tom tops off the syringe with liquid tranquilizer. Back down to dummy room. Check that Red's room is still just rubble. Ruby and Tom decide to begin the long track all the way back to the dummy room. Ruby and, yep, continue the track. Yep. Ruby and Tom finally arrive in the dummy room, though the dummy is still absent. Check the wall painting with your third eye. Ruby, it might be important. Ruby examines the room with her third eye. Something painful emanates from the painting, but it's hollow, distant, like an echo of something. Memories of before. There's like a little brown patch there, too. It's a second echo suddenly comes through piercingly. It's small and just an echo, but it's still incredibly focused, overwhelmingly potent. It hurts so badly, and yet it feels strangely good. It's like a feeling that deep down Ruby wants to feel forever. So I says to Mabel, I says, why don't you leave that switch alone? Ruby recovers a little and wipes the blood from her third eye. Tom examines the clock-like device. It would appear the eye dial is missing. Take that do not open sticker before leaving. Tom grabs the do not open sticker for no apparent reason. Ruby and Tom take a long trek back to the catwalk outside Lab B, but those frames were lost on their way overseas, so we'll just skip to their arrival. Wear the do not open sticker on the chance that it may prevent someone from opening you. Done. Ruby and Tom use the spade key on the lock to Lab B. The double doors slide open. Subject 6 rises from the pool of light. Subject 6's legs appear to have been amputated. His arms are long, thin, and end at bony points instead of hands. He lies in the center of the room, staring with empty eye sockets towards the door. His ears twitch slightly, listening. Is someone there? Hello, this is Ruby begins to speak, but the figure interrupts. I can't hear you, child. Come closer. Fuck him. Speak louder. Ruby speaks louder instead of entering the room. Subject 6 appears disappointed, a look of sadness crossing his face. He sits up, facing the door. Ask his name. The look of sadness disappears for a moment. His brow uncreases and he smiles thinly. Don't you recognize me? It's me, Tom. The love of your life. Check on Tom. Tom appears as confused as Ruby. We're all going out for drinks. But I don't drink anymore, so, we'll all just go out. But we don't live in the same place, so we'll all just stay in. Subject 6 turns a bit, suddenly perking up his ears. Lucy, is that you? I knew you'd come back for me. We'll all drink some liquid. I mean... Can I even charge that many points? I could try. I'll see if it's an option. I knew you'd come back to me. Seriously, using the third eye sounds good right about now. Ruby's third eye is in too much pain to open right now. Yes, it's me, Lucy. Lucy, I'm so glad you're here. I have something for you. Get to side of the doorway, lean in, tell him to come give it to you. Approaching the door, Ruby realizes the room smells incredibly foul. Tom agrees it's so noxious he can't even breathe in. Tell him to come give it to you. I can't move, Lucy. Please come to me. I'm so lonely here. Equip oxygen tank, move in, and take the key. Tom starts to move in. Subject 6 does not react well. No, I said Lucy. Ruby approach and get the key, with the oxygen mask and gloved hands equipped. Warn him that she might sound a little different since she has to have her safety gear on. Ruby slowly approaches, holding the oxygen mask to her mouth to breathe slowly. Subject 6 smiles again. Thank you. Ruby approaches Subject 6, who stares up at her with empty eyes. Ruby asks for the key. Tom, feel around the entrance for a light switch. Tom begins blindly groping just inside the door for a light switch, holding his breath. Subject 6 holds up the gold key. This will get you into his office. He has tools in his desk. Tom frantically searches for the light switch. Ruby is not responding to his calls. It's like she can't hear him. Tom places the gold key in Ruby's palm. Do me a favor while you're there. Can you bring me back scissors? So we all just did. I thought that was funny. Thank you. Tom finds the light switch. Oop. As Subject 6 begins to rise off the ground, Ruby beats a hasty retreat. Ruby exits the room, closes it, bars it, and locks it. Tom tries to comfort Ruby. Screw the stupid recording where she killed you. Hug her. You're a gentleman and she's clearly distressed. Tom tries to hug Ruby, but she bolts in the opposite direction of the lab. She clearly wants to put some distance between herself and Subject 6. Tom chases after Ruby, where he finds her unlocking the door to Filbert's office. I'm still clean, so only I can leave. Ruby opens the door and peers into Filbert's office. Read note. Take screwdriver, inspect desk for drawers. Do not use eye. Ruby picks up flathead screwdriver. On the wall, Filbert has mounted a framed copy of the Hippocratic Oath. Rummage through the drawers in the desk and filing cabinet. Ruby finds a few small scraps of paper in the drawer and decides to read them. Filbert, note to self. You have recurring amnesia. It's nothing to worry about. If you don't remember things, this is the reason. You are still clean. Don't ever doubt that. Someone notified my superiors that Red has not been taking his medicine. As per their instructions, I have ordered Spade to secretly begin treating Red's rations. One day he will thank me for this. November 8th. In keeping with the orders of my superiors, I have ordered Spade to euthanize Subject 2, Maddie. I do not falter in this action, for I know this is not murder. Subject 2 will return, and we will obtain further results. Spade does not falter either. He has always been loyal, unquestioning. With the proper anesthetic, she will not even feel pain. It is a great day. This is the last scrap of paper in the desk. There doesn't appear to be any other tools here either. Search cabinet drawers. There are many bits of severed flesh in the drawer. It appears that they've all been cut from something very cleanly, with great precision. His brow uncreases and he smiles thinly. Don't you recognize me? It's me, Tom. The love of your life. Check on Tom. Tom appears as confused as Ruby. We're all going out for drinks. But I don't drink anymore, so, we'll all just go out. But we don't live in the same place, so we'll all just stay in. Like it was just yesterday. There are many bits. It's funny when I'm reading, my eyes look like they're closed because I'm just staring at the bottom of the screen. But I assure you, they're probably open. There are many bits of severed flesh in the drawer. It appears they've all been cut. Break open Oath's frame and see if anything other than the Oath is inside. I gotta post them to the TikTok. Tom totally wrecks the shit out of Filbert's stuff. Bad news, it doesn't reveal any clues Tom could find. The good news is he felt pretty good doing it. The room appears pretty thoroughly searched. Yeah, my third eye's open. Tom and Ruby consider the next move. Try Filbert's key on security station. I'm sure he had access there. One is an actual key, and one is a magnetic card reader. Use screwdriver to unscrew MedLab eye chart. Ruby heads downstairs with Tom. Ruby begins to unscrew the eye chart. Boy, this facility is just full of secret cubby holes. Inside the hiding place, there's a shard of green wood. To the locker room. Ruby thinks back to the recess on locker 3. There's no way she has that complete key yet. Unscrew the vent. Ruby and Tom exit and walk to the adjacent room. Ruby begins unscrewing the vent. Don't do that. Wasn't there poison in there? Uh-oh. A now familiar face shows up on the monitor, and a moment later the alarm suddenly clears. There's something inside the vent. Ruby grabs it. Ruby retrieves the security access card from the vent. To security room, plot advance. Filbert arrives. Filbert announces in a rough and growly voice that he is going to cut the bad out of both of you until you are as clean as he is. Okay, last part. We're getting through this. Filbert emerges from the large tube wielding a bone saw. A bone saw is ready. Filbert emerges from the large tube wielding a bone saw. He demands that Ruby and Tom, being so clearly infected, must be operated on immediately. He says he'll cut them until they are clean. It appears Filbert is rather adamant about this, but also appears he's gone completely out of his head. Run upstairs, close the hatch before he gets through. Filbert is obviously fully mobile, and you have absolutely no head start. Climbing a ladder right next to him probably wouldn't result in a getaway. If Ruby and Tom are determined to flee, they should find a better method. Filbert rushes in at the two of them with his bone saw. It's clear he isn't in any mood for discussion. Have Tom attack with shovel cane, crowbar, scalpel, and syringe all at once. Tom springs into action with his weapons at the ready. He will end this non-lethally if he can. Filbert may be mutating rapidly, but Tom's manly physique is still more impressive than that of the good doctor. Pull at Captain Kirk by pointing out that Phil's rather freaky-looking arm is obviously unclean, and that therefore he must remove it. Filbert is too focused on his murderous rage to listen to reason. It's also apparent that, unlike Tom, he has no intention of ending this non-lethally. His mouth suddenly snaps open into a ferocious gaping maw as he bellows out a shuddering roar. Jam the cage shovel down his gullet! Tom attacks Filbert's gaping mouth with a crowbar. Filbert bites the crowbar in half. Stop thinking, go to Berserker Rage, attack anything and everything, don't give him time to act. Filbert and Tom get into it now. There'll be no quarter given by either party. Someone's gonna die. Tom uses his manly physique to stave off Filbert's attacks and his tiny arms to slice him open with a scalpel. Filbert is down. Gonna be tranquilizer time now? Tom injects Filbert with a hefty dose of tranquilizer in case he decides to get back up. Restrain the body as securely as possible. Neither Tom nor Ruby has any rope, and the only locker that would open is already jammed shut with stitches inside. Pat Filbert down for useful items cautiously, then let's head up to the security room. Ruby and Tom loot the bone saw, but that's all Filbert seems to be carrying. Tom tells Ruby she should carry it, since she's lacking in weapons. They both check their inventories, then head back upstairs to the security room. Hey, Tom fixed his crowbar. Whoops. You just had to run it for him, didn't you? refill tranquilizer in case of another fight. Ruby and Tom run back downstairs to grab another syringe full of tranquilizer. This is the last of it. Tom and Ruby return to the upstairs hall and use the security key card to open the security room door. Tom peers into the room ahead cautiously. There's a huge console on the north wall. There's also a door beside it, a maintenance hatch on the east wall beside which are scattered many notes. There's also a piece of strange green wood lying against the huge console. I mean, aren't we all just some idiots made up in MS Paint? Finally, there appears to be an intercom insert in the array of security monitoring equipment. Ruby adds the piece of green wood to the shard she is already carrying. Like the other staff, it resembles a pattern. Yeah, and this is a forum one, so the actions that are supposed to be undertaken are people on 4chan. So, you know, a real, it's all made by very great people. It's a piece she's already carrying. Like the other staff, it resembles a pattern she's seen somewhere else, but it's still missing a piece. It has been 3 days since she was euthanized and placed under observation, and subject number 2 is still not recovered. She's too far gone now. Her body will be disposed of. Evidently, my original findings were flawed. Perhaps cells are indeed necessary for the reanimation process. I have ordered to euthanize subject Daisy. Perhaps it's a time to have more favorable results. Manservant around, rebuilding facility to suit a crazy design. Every day there are more buttons and switches like some madman's maze. Buried along underneath all along, we were not would have found it for Red's insistence on the need for an emergency holding cell. The thing they're pulling up are simply astounding. That statue, the carved disc, the bear designs unlike anything I've ever seen, and the bizarre dummies. Its eyes are... Understand they can't simply sell the damn thing because of the secretive nature of this facility, but I don't know why they keep that ghastly thing on display. I find like that should be kept in safe storage. I knew they would find something down there. In my dreams, I heard them calling to that place. The strange red growths covering the walls of the Forgotten Room are like some bizarre, clearly organic, and the fact it survived this long is evidence enough is powerful. I will have to look into possible medical uses for them. Tom picks up the many notes and flips through a couple of them. Examine those little teeth-like things on the floor just in front of the console. They appear to be marks on where the operator should stand. They're right in front of an alphanumeric keypad. Old image boards. They appear to be marks on whether the operator should stand, blah, blah, blah. The only set of controls in the entire console Ruby would know how to use. I need one breath for the rest of this. Am I pregnant? Try the intercom by the door. The intercom is marked as an emergency surface line. It should connect directly to the outside world. Tom presses the button to make contact, but he's not holding his breath for a response. Suddenly, the intercom radio crackles to life. Tom can hear someone on the other side. Tom attempts to make contact with whoever's on the other end. A strangely familiar voice fires off a string of incredibly foul and very unprovoked profanities directed at Tom. Tom pauses momentarily, stunned by the response. Just as he attempts to explain the situation, a strange crunching sound, like something being eaten, comes from the other end, followed by static. It would appear the line is now dead. Ruby and Tom attempt to operate the console, but nothing seems to work. Someone's locked them out. Does the door to the lobby open? The door to the lobby is already open. Go through. Tom peeks through the door. Tom has entered the lobby a bit excitedly. Freedom seems so close. Oh, well, there you go. A guy. The Medical Institute for the Blind. Oh, well, there you go. Politely asks just what the hell that thing is. The unhealthy-looking figure hooked up to the wall introduces herself as Bella. She said she's very sorry, but she can't let you leave. She goes on to say she's top priority control of every security system in the facility, and she's instituted a lockdown. Ask her how the situation can be resolved. Explain that we've kind of had it with this place and we want to leave. Ruby joins Tom and attempts to convince Bella to let them out. Bella explains that she's not in charge here. She's merely acting on orders her superiors issued before they abandoned the facility. She simply cannot open the service hatch for them. Those are her orders. Tom menaces for a moment, and Bella responds that she will not fight him. Important, ask if she saw what happened to Ace. Bella says she's been focused on watching YouTube, but if he isn't walking the halls looking for patients, he might be in cold storage. It's where he keeps the things he's been collecting. Ask what happened to lead the lockdown. Her superiors ordered it after the facility was abandoned following an outbreak of violence by both patients and staff in the wake of the events of November 1st. Namely, the suicide of Chief Diagnostician Red. Ask her what the fuck Ace actually is. Ace is a very loyal orderly, but lately he seems to be ignoring her. Explain to her that if things continue as they are, there isn't going to be a facility left to salvage even if her superiors return. She knows, but those are her orders. Ask Bella what she's doing plugged up to the wall. Bella is kept on life support. These things don't attack her. Her mind must be intact for her to continue operating. She suspects they don't want to taint it with her running the facility's systems. A very angry-sounding thumping noise shakes the ground in frustrated peals, and an echoing, eerie voice comes from the lower levels. Lucy! Lucy! Lucille! Ask where the cold storage is. Bella says cold storage is on level 2. Ask Bella why she has apparently been helping us if she's not allowed to let us out of the facility. She was ordered to stop you from leaving. She was never ordered to avoid keeping you alive. Ask Bella if there are circumstances under which the lockdown can be lifted and the door to the surface open. As long as she is holding a manual lockdown in place, surface access cannot be obtained. The date. What is today's date? Today is October 31st. It's been a year. Ask Bella how many times the situation has played out before. Dozens of times. But she says you've only made it so far as to see her 3 times before. She says this is as far as you've ever gotten. As long as she's alive, she'll maintain the lockdown. Ask for scissors or at least where they could find a pair. Bella says that all scissors have been confiscated and hidden after the last time the patient in Lab B got a hold of a pair. Is she trying to say that if she was killed, the lockdown would lift and they would be able to escape? Bella wants to show you something. A panel on the wall opens, revealing a glass window. Beyond the glass, there is water. Orange light filters through the shimmering waters. It would appear that this room is very near to the surface. Every day for over a year now, Bella has had to watch the sunrise and set from just barely below the surface, strapped to the wall right next to the exit, able to watch the outside world but never touch it. Yes, she answers. Yeah, if you kill her, the lockdown will end. Ask her if she wishes to die. Yes. But if we kill you, wouldn't you get back to life again? Bella's the only one who the infection has passed over, because to taint her mind would be to compromise the integrity of the facility, and thus everyone and everything inside it. Will disconnecting her from the station kill her? Yes. If we just open the doors and leave, everything else gets out too. Bella offers that you could close it behind you. Ask Bella if this facility can self-destruct, and if that would eliminate the infection. Bella says there is no infection. The only disease here is the one that the doctors made. Bella sees Ruby's hesitation and tells her that she left herself something. It's in the water cooler. Break the glass so she conveniently revealed for you? I'll bet you could swim to the surface. Neither Tom nor Ruby knows how to swim. To Mr. Water Cooler and then cold storage. No. This isn't fair, Bella says. She helped you. Now you have to help her. This time you have to kill her, she says. You have to let her wake up from this bad dream. This time you have to make the right choice. Trank time for now. We'll come back soon. Tom injects the liquid tranquilizer, but Bella only becomes angry. She explains that the systems she's hooked up to have replaced most of her body functions and will easily keep her conscious against the tranquilizer. She goes on to say that Tom and Ruby do not want the person in charge of security to be against them. She's asked nicely. She has helped them come this far, but now she's putting her foot down. She will lock doors, activate traps, and seal the rooms if they persist. This time, she says, she's not going to give them a choice. They have to end her life now. There's no other option. Very well. Tom and Ruby seem to have no choice. Tom pulls the plunger back on the syringe and with great hesitation injects the air into Bella's bloodstream. Tom apologizes quietly for not being able to save her. Tom does his best to disconnect Bella from her life support. She passes into unconsciousness. Moments later, Bella passes away. There's no time to lose. Now, can we open the hatch? Ruby and Tom return to the security room. It would seem Bella's death has already caused a minor system's power shutdown. A blinking green light indicates the electrical maintenance hatch is open, however. I meant the hatch of getting the fuck out of here. It's still sealed. The lockdown was on the systems operated through the console, not the hatch itself. That still needs to be unlocked. Let's see what we can do in the maintenance. Ruby, with her girlish figure, is able to squeeze into the cramped maintenance tunnel. A handy blinking green button illuminates itself within. Better not fumble blindly. Push the button, prepare for some horror that you will see when lights come back up. Ruby crawls a short way into the dark tunnel and presses the glowing green button. Click. Oh, God. So where are those scissors? Tom helps pull Ruby back out by her feet as she tries in vain to stutter out a frantic explanation. God damn it. Inside the hatch, they can hear something skittering closer. Close hatch, Bart shut with cane shovel. Tom jams the door close with his bludgeoning cane shovel. Something starts clawing against the other side, but surprisingly enough, the sturdy hatch seems to hold fast. Before we check the water cooler, use the console. Can we open the hatch now? The console responds favorably. It looks like Bella was telling the truth. Use computer to act. The console is suddenly ruptured by a large, fleshy growth bearing a gleaming yellow eye. It appears to be impeded by the bulky console, but the system has been damaged. An error message flashes onto the screen. Fuck, run to the water cooler. Tom and Ruby head down to the room with the water cooler. On the way down, they pass by Filbert, who is still unconscious where they left him. He appears to be breathing, however. Ruby and Tom descend to the cafeteria room, passing through the upstairs thoroughfare on the way. Tom moves to take the top off the water cooler so they can look inside. Stashed inside the cooler itself is an oddly shaped shard of green wood. Ruby adds the last piece and assembles the second green staff. Check the console before the locker. The console doesn't seem to have any power. There's still a familiar symbol hanging above it. Tom and Ruby head back upstairs, making the trek to the room directly above them, since they have no means to climb the hole in the ceiling. Ruby places the green staff in the carved recesses on the locker's face. The locker's door swings open, revealing a switch to match the one in the other locker they'd opened with the first green staff. Ruby figures she might as well pull this switch too. With both switches pulled, lockers 3 and 4 suddenly shift apart and pull aside to reveal a hidden door on the wall behind the giant machine. Ready weapons go in. Tom and Ruby pass through the door, into the mouth of madness. The locker on the left appears to be sealed. The one on the right is bent and partially melted in places. It appears to simply be jammed shut. Not even Tom can force it open, and its hinges appear to have been messed with as well. Ruby rationalizes they must be the 2 missing lockers. The ones... Water filtration, do not touch. The ones from the room where she woke up. Open a water filtration unit. Tom and Ruby look inside the water filtration unit. Something inside looks back at them. Say hello. It's so dark. Kill me. Decline to kill him. Try to free him from the hooks. Collect the eye dial first, though. Tom grabs the eye dial from the filtration unit. Ruby, already emotionally distraught after the incident with Bella, is confused. She doesn't know what to do with this individual who lies half submerged in water. I think we've killed enough people who reason with us. Ruby pleads with Tom. This one can still be saved, she says. Tom and Ruby carefully remove him from the 3 large hooks keeping him in the chamber. It's a rather painful process, and his groans of pain only subside when Tom finally hauls him out of the cramped, flooded chamber. A loud creaking sound catches the attention of Tom and Ruby. The locker in the back of the room has begun to open. Take Ace's mask. Get the fuck out. Unfortunately, Ace has already taken his mask. Ruby and Tom get the hell out of Dodge, carrying the other prisoner with them. Tom and Ruby escape from Ace's lair in cold storage. They seal the area behind them, but knowing Ace, it won't hold him for long. Whatever they're going to do, they had better do it fast. Ace is clearly on a mission, and this facility will not be safe for them very much longer. Tom's manly physique allows him to carry the prisoner with relative ease, but his move speed is still reduced. Perhaps things would move faster if he and Ruby split up. Remember, time is the essence. Go. Get stitches from his locker. We might need him later. It would appear that locker number 5 is already open. Give us a hint, Weaver. In the time it would take Tom to drag the weakened prisoner up to the exit, Ruby would probably reach both the dummy room and the downstairs console. At least she could if she took a shortcut. That's it then. Ruby, jump. Tom, take Emo Bird to the exit. Also, please don't refer to him as Prisoner Weaver. He's free now. Tom begins to carry their new acquaintance upstairs, making his way to the surface access hatch. Ruby climbs down into the room below, trying to reach the symbol-laden clock downstairs as quickly as possible. It's only a matter of time until Ace escapes again, and he'll be looking for them. Ruby lands safely in the room below. The backup console here is still not receiving power. She quickly heads downstairs to the clock dial, now that she's recovered the wooden eye peg. Keep constant radio contact. Leave both on all the time so you both know exactly what's happening, even if there's no time to say anything directly. Good idea. Ruby and Tom both make sure their radios are on. Ruby quickly climbs down into the brig, which is still as broken as ever, and darts into the side room. There, she finally replaces the wooden eye peg and dials it to the symbol that corresponds to the console she used when she first woke up. Actually, the brig seems worse than ever. The system returns to power and begins to slowly start up. Check on Tom. While Ruby waits for the system to respond, Tom runs into Filbert. Apparently, he shook off a massive dose of tranquilizer rather quickly. He menaces the spikes of flesh at Tom. He seems even more ravenously determined than last time, eager to rip Tom to pieces. This is the last thing he needed. He's got to get to the exit. Tom doesn't fucking have time for this. Tell him that Ace is more bad than the rest of them put together. Ace is the one that needs to be cut immediately. Filbert clearly isn't listening. He's beyond reasoning with now. Filbert lunges at Tom. Use manly physique to kill Filbert. Tom has had enough of this shit. No chances this time. Tom had no idea how that just happened. It was pretty cool, though. Tom continues upstairs with the ex-prisoner. Meanwhile, Ruby has finally accessed the console, and the results are good. Ruby tears ass to get upstairs as fast as possible. As she climbs up the thoroughfare ladder, she hears the door to the cells being opened. Ace won't be far behind, and from the loud noises of him slamming around, he seems angry. Ruby finally reaches the upper level and bursts into security room, only to find a monstrously gigantic fleshy abomination covered in eyes, looking like a huge and horribly mutated version of Subject 6. It appears to be cowering in the corner and doesn't seem to notice Ruby. Tell 6 you can help him. Out of pity, Ruby tries to call to Subject 6, but it's no good. He sits shivering in his grief, muttering to himself in fear of Ace. Ruby enters the lobby. The ex-prisoner seems to have gained some of his motor skills and is shakily climbing the now open ladder upwards. Tom says his name is Jay. Tom is visibly shaken. If that giant monster is afraid of Ace, he doesn't stand a chance, even if he were to manage another burst of adrenaline. Tom begins talking to Ruby as quickly as possible. There's now a very serious problem. Ace will be here in a matter of seconds. There's no time for them to get to the surface and close the hatch. Someone will have to stay behind and distract him so the other can get to safety. Tom tells Ruby to take the ladder now. There's no way either of them would survive an encounter with Ace. Goodbye, Ruby. Ruby kisses Tom goodbye. Ruby climbs the ladder as quickly as she can. It's time to take a stand. Oh. Tom takes the opportunity to get the fuck out of here. Yeah, who didn't see that coming? Tom takes a moment to reflect on how tragic it is that sometimes actions have to have consequences, good or bad. Ruby is relieved beyond words that Tom made it up. She's also glad she saw him coming up before she slammed the hatch shut. Tom and Ruby close the door behind them. Jay has been loaded onto the tram. Roll out on the railroad. Ruby and Tom hop on the tram and survey the simple controls. Ruby opens the steel door. Beyond it lies fresh air, and a long track leading to the mainland leading over the water. The tram begins to move, leading out towards the land beyond. It's on an automated track, so it will continue on without Ruby or Tom needing to do anything. Choo-choo! The tram pulls away, leaving the station behind. Ruby and Tom head towards the land as the tram slowly crosses the land bridge. Jay sleeps at the fore of the tram, recovering from his ordeal. Tom tosses away all the notes he's been collecting. He's happy just to be alive. He never wants to read another note as long as he lives. Tom breaks out the champagne. He and Ruby decide now is a good time to celebrate. They pour, they toast, they drink. To freedom. This is just random stuff. Shenanigans of Tom. Is this just what he was doing before, or is this just random stuff? Yeah, this is just random stuff. Let's see if any porn flashes on the screen. Oh, yeah. Yep, there was porn that flashed on the screen, that's for sure. All right. Okay, well, there's Ruby Quest. Done with. Well, cool. There we go. I'm gonna go to bed. So I'm gonna say good night to all and have a very merry Halloween. Good night, everybody. My eyes are big up, dudes, as they say in Reddit land. So tired. There's a lot of